You are now listening to the Sae Bae Cast, the #1 old school RuneScape podcast featuring guests from all across Galanor. To support this podcast, visit the Patreon link in the description.
All right, welcome to the Sae Bae Cast number 92 with Rastaman. Rastaman, how you doing this fine afternoon?
I'm doing great. Good to finally be on the cast.
Yeah, I've had Cardiac in Twitch chat just constantly just be like, when is Rastaman going on the cast?
Yo, shout out Cardiac.
Yeah, so definitely excited. You are currently, I will just say, the world record Inferno speed run, or I guess the world record holder of Inferno speedruns, and the world record holder of CMs. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That is correct.
So I just want to ask right now, before like the real introduction of how you got into the game, what, like, I don't know, what got you into speedrunning? What's the appeal of it? And how hard was it for you to get into it? Was it something natural, or was it just something like, I'm good at this, let's go for it?
Okay, so generally I have been an absolute like video game addict ever since I was like young. Ever since I started with PS2, with GameCube, growing up with my family and friends playing all the time. And that slowly kind of transitioned into things like shooting games like COD. And I noticed I was really good at stuff like COD. And pretty much every game I've ever touched, I've been like exceptionally good at. And I've always played RS too. So I played RS since I started in 5th grade. So 2007, around there. And yeah, I don't know why. I've just always had that itch to be as competitive as possible, as good at every game I've ever played as I could possibly get. Yeah, that's sort of where it stems from, the speedrunning aspect that I have like taken such a massive part in within RS.
Getting into RuneScape, I mean, there was obviously nothing really to speedrun, I'm guessing, initially. Like, what was there? Many
initially
things? Yeah.
Well, I never saw myself becoming like an Inferno runner at the time. Like I said, I only started speedrunning Inferno about not even a whole year ago. It was probably like 8 months ago.
Jesus.
I was sub 55 about March, I think. And yeah, I kind of realized like, oh shit, like I'm actually good at this. I was picking it up so fast, and beta worlds came out, like some of the more original beta worlds, like earlier in the year. I forget what it was for. Maybe you remember, but
I just know they have those tournament, or again, not tournament worlds. They are just the betas when they're testing out other gear. But yeah, I stopped participating in them like probably a couple years ago. I got my fix of triple jads and 6 jads.
Oh yeah, I only started this year. Well, yeah, basically.
Okay. When
I started Inferno, so I realized like I had an opportunity to practice a lot with beta worlds, trying out thralls, and everyone at the time, like it was like right about when like Thrall Inferno had just come out. Like Cbet and Addy were basically just like coming up with the ideas, the strats to make it possible and viable.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I just started running like 6-7 hours a day during the entirety of the tourney world. I think it was like a week long or whatever. And I was just improving so fast. Like I remember getting my first like sub 15 major split within like a couple of days of the tourney worlds, which I'm not sure if you probably don't even recognize what that means, but
no,
that's essentially
some
like
people listening will, but yeah.
Yeah. It's essentially like at the time it was considered rec pace. That's like rec pace. You're literally on world record pace if you can get a sub 15 mage split. So that's kind of when it just the addiction toward it just took off. Like I started running like anywhere from 3 to 6 tasks a day for probably 3 months. And I started streaming in July. I had countless people, plenty of friends. Shout out Matt, shout out Dex, shout out, Hemis, shout out endless people. I had so many people telling me they wanted me to stream. Didn't even matter if I had a face cam. Didn't even matter. They said, it doesn't even matter if you have a mic, bro. Just turn your stream on. I was like, geez, I really wanted to. Although the main reason I didn't was I had really crappy internet, like very inconsistent internet for a while.
Yeah.
So after getting all that dialed in, fixing my net, replacing the coax, all that silly stuff that goes into it, I started streaming, and yeah, my streams just took off like fucking. It was insane, dude.
Oh, yeah.
I literally was 0 follower Andy to partnered in 69 days.
Nice.
So all of that, all the steamrolling, or not steamrolling, but all the what's the word, domino effect. I saw like all my, all these viewers coming in.
People,
and it gave me more and more motivation to continue to get better and better and better. And like initially, I didn't think I was capable of getting world record for a long time, but
So was Inferno like the first piece of content you were speedrunning, or was there a little bit of mix?
No.
Of other things?
I started speedrunning chambers. Initially, it was either regular chambers or CM solo chambers, but I can't remember which it was. But it was primarily just solo chambers in general. Mm-hmm. My first ever uploads on YouTube was a 1407 solo chambers. At the time, it was literally like second place or something, and I had gotten that as an iron as well. So it was obviously like iron wreck. I had plenty of people like realize like, oh wow, that's actually insane. And then I started to do CM. I was watching Mulgoat Kirby do his sub 33 attempts. I think it was quite a while ago now. It was like 2 years ago. And watching him like just have so many people watching him, like such an entertaining stream. He had all his splits. I don't know what the plugin is called. Maybe you've seen it before.
Yeah, like it's just like the typical speedrun split.
Yeah. That general, like speedrunners in general, like have for their games. Mm-hmm. I was like, dude, this is so cool. Like, I would love to do this.
Yeah.
And I got addicted to it. I was literally like, people already know this, but I was probably doing like anywhere from on a lesser day, I would do probably 3 hours, maybe 2 to 3 hours of resets. And on my more grindy days, I would go up to like 8-9 hours of solo CM resets. I didn't even realize I was like capable of rec at the time, but I was just having so much fun with it and improving that I kept on, grinding and grinding and grinding. And at the time, I didn't really have interest in much else in terms of speedrunning, so I just kept up with it. And eventually, I actually copped rec. My first ever world record. It was a 29:05 solo CM. And this is about 2 years ago.
Let's take a step back. When did you start old school? Like what year?
I actually have never taken a break from old school.
Okay, but
so
did you start on release?
2013, yeah.
Jesus.
It released 2013, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was playing day one. I mean, dude, like I said, gaming has been a massive part of my life. Yeah. So especially RS. Before old school came out, I was a huge risk fighter. I did so much risk fighting. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but I did RWT a lot of money from risk fighting. So back in pre-EOC, and my parents were wondering how the fuck this 13-year-old kid has $5,000 in his PayPal.
Dear God.
It was pretty funny, yeah. But that was an incredibly fun time. I don't think I've ever been more addicted to the game. Maybe I would argue my Ironman era was more addictive, which we can get into that later. But yeah, pre-EOC, dude, the game was my life. I had so many of my friends who came over to my house after school, and all we did was just get on both the computers, and we'd just always be playing, man. Whether it was farming Aviancies and God Wars for Addy bars, or playing on our peers, going to peer house parties. I don't know if you ever knew what those were, the pure house parties back in the day.
I mean, it
was only one defense peers.
Okay.
And it was so fun. You would just I'm sure some people remember this, but it was like a bunch of, you had to be one defense, or I think it was 10 or 20 at most. and all you did was run around in people's dungeons and fight each other in the combat ring and throughout the dungeon. And there was so many people who did it, bro. It was so fun. That was one of my main hobbies back pre-OC. Doing that, high risk fighting. I mean, we were all kind of newbie back then, so I don't even, we were just doing random shit.
No, I mean, I will say the POH parties definitely wasn't a pure, but back in like 2006, 2007 era, that's where I literally camped. I mean, I'd go to the fucking role play POHs. Like, I would just sit there and just troll. I'd be the guy. I've said this so many times. I was the guy.
It's a thing, dude.
I was the guy in the throne room, where there's like 2 E-daters on the throne, and like I'm that clown pulling the lever, like trying to get people like.
Oh my god, dude. Bro, it was just so
times.
fun back in the day. Like, it didn't even matter what you were doing, just being a kid.
Oh yeah, the game was so magical. Let me ask you about this.
It was, I mean,
does it?
It was low. There was like 350k players concurrent.
Oh yeah,
at the
every
time.
single person knew what RuneScape. I mean, even today, everyone knows what RuneScape is technically. But like, as a kid, everybody was excited about it. I want to ask though about just the fact that in this era of RuneScape, it feels like the game is completely solved. It feels like it. Now there's always things we discover, like tiny little things, but back then the game was so mysterious. So like, how does it feel to I don't know. And okay, let me ask you a specific question. Do you feel like we have kind of come to the point where everything's solved, or do you think there's still a way to go?
I mean, if you're talking about the tick system, then in that sense, kind of, yeah. But there are so many subtle mechanics and little tricks and whatnot that you can learn throughout like a certain piece of PvM that you might not pick up on until the content's been out for 2 years, 3 years, Look at COB, for example. Another example will be solo CM. There are certain strats that I didn't pick up took me at least a year. I had like Sae Bae, for example, telling like, dude, you don't even need a stamina. It's possible you don't even need a stamina to do this. And that was partly how I was able to get such fast times. I eventually bend the stamina and, some other things. I bend the brew as well. And I came up with this ridiculous DPS setup that I still run to this day.
I just love that. I love that that's actually a thing, because when you look back at early Chambers, not like necessarily day of release of Chambers, but like a year afterward, when people started dipping their toes into solos, like more of the player base started dipping their toes into it. It was like, go in there, bring 7 brews in your inventory, and like try to pull through, and just so many mistakes. Now it's literally just fucking don't make a goddamn mistake.
I used to watch Alfie do solos all the time, and his inventory was pretty much every single time about 8 brews going into Ulm and a 4-way mage.
Yeah.
Like, but no one realized.
I mean, everybody
he'd end every raid with at least 3 or 4 brews.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what it starts out like, and then of course you could start dropping them. You start realizing little health saves and stuff. I mean, I imagine for you, I mean, it was probably a lot faster of a journey than for most people, but just starting to get into Chambers, it's like, holy shit, how are people doing these things with like no food at all? I mean, I remember watching Latius, absolute god gamer, that I miss that guy. I wish he would stream more. Or I don't even know if he really plays anymore. Latius, right?
I do, yeah. I think he's probably just playing RS3 off stream, if anything.
He's been doing, Now I remember him going into Ulm, and this was like, years ago. He had only 1 brew, and like for that, like that was just insane, like no Sanguinesti, no
I'm sure he died some of the times unless he was doing 4-0, but
yeah, no, he was just doing like the 1-0 thing. He didn't even have any prayer or anything. And it was just like the most insane, exciting thing to watch of all time. And it's just like, oh, well, that is possible. You just got to know how to like not.
That kind of reminds me of like some of the shit that Lake has done as well. Nothing particularly comes to mind, but I just like, every time you watch him, it's always like that kid is always ahead of the curve in terms of like innovating new setups and stuff. Like, look, he was one of the first people to be able to like hard grind these 500s, these 575s
Oh yeah.
Like before I got my 500. I mean, granted, I went into the grind with just about 5 expert KC. It was still very daunting. I was like, dude, how long is this going to take me? I was literally thinking to myself, there's a chance I never get this fucking kit, man. Like, dealing with Aka, bro, like, it was so bad.
Yep.
I probably wiped like 70 times in a row trying to like deal with double trouble and keep back.
Oh yeah.
Like 5 expert KC Andy, dude. I eventually ended up turning keep back off and double trouble.
Yep, that was literally me.
And I literally got the kit within like 2 hours. I was like, dude.
Yeah, that really is
such a.
Sorry, like for the 500s, I just want to let people know, like, you don't have to turn on every fucking invocation for every boss. Like, I was literally doing double trouble as well and the keep back. First of all, I didn't even know keep back was a motherfucking thing. I just turned it on because I thought I had to turn on all invocations, basically.
Dear God.
Dude, I was taking random 50s, just like, huh?
Dear God.
Like, I didn't even know what was happening. So, yeah, that would have definitely helped speed up the process for me as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely daunting just seeing a brand new piece of content that you literally have so little experience with, and you're just like, oh, this is going to be such a chore getting down. But then you start picking it up. But yeah, Lake grinding 575s. That, first of all, that doesn't even look fun. I mean, like, the Kefries take 13 minutes on average. I'm like...
Is he still running Medic?
I mean, yeah, because that is 575s. Like, 575 is every single thing except for the speed time. So he has to deal with everything.
I didn't realize. Oh my God.
Yeah, that shit's not
He's
fun.
just built different.
I know. And he also made absolute fucking bank. So that kind of helped.
Yeah, that's probably part of it. There's also sick content. I'm sure his streams are kind of doing well.
Oh, yeah.
But I do kind of want to grind TOA and like become, world record level at it. I just haven't, I don't know. I just don't have like a ton of interest in it like I do CM, like I do Inferno right now. I don't know what it is. Part of me wants to blame it on the puzzles, but at this point, all the puzzles are so fast with the plugins that it's like, I can't really blame it on the puzzles. The only puzzle I really would want to blame, like, the lack of interest I have on is Monkey Room.
Yeah,
which I just find to be incredibly fucking tedious.
It's so bad.
It's just too slow paced for what it is.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that it's too slow paced, but sometimes the spawns are just, it doesn't feel fluid to me.
Oh,
it's kind of hard to explain, but it just doesn't feel fluid whatsoever.
Yeah.
It feels very RNG and just not very enjoyable. But other than that, I do really like TOA. I think it's rewarding. I love Warden. I won't say I love all the other rooms, but I like them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they did a good job. There's tons of people bashing on it, including me. I've definitely been one to bash on it, but
yeah,
pretty much I was just bashing on the puzzles before they released the plugins. So with these plugins, like, I'm definitely kind of willing to compete for rec at some point, I think. I'll have to practice for sure, but it's definitely growing on me that I might want to start, doing what other people are doing, like Smork, like, well, maybe you don't know the other people, but like Smork. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you know Smork, so
3000.
He's been doing plenty of rec attempts, and it looks pretty fun. So,
and it's like super highly profitable too. I mean,
that too, yeah.
I wonder if they're going to be making any more changes to it, like.
Oh, 100%, without question.
Like, I know they're going to be making changes to items and stuff. I just I don't know. Sometimes
it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, no, that's true. I wonder if they're going to be detrimental changes that'll make it so.
There's so many people asking for changes that eventually we will, even though they said that they like the current state of it, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as I know, isn't that what they said? It's like, but you have to look at everything else in the game. It's always updated eventually.
That's true.
It doesn't matter what it is. I don't think there's been a single piece of content that hasn't been updated multiple times.
Yeah. Yeah, so what do you think? I want to kind of just go back to Lake real quick. Lake's never been a speedrunner, really. I mean, he was at Chambers, obviously, like, he tries to go for those CM speeds, but he was never really, like, dedicated to just doing speedruns. I don't know. I feel like he's always kind of focused on his Ironman.
The thing is when I used to watch him, he was another person that kind of got me into solo CM speedruns. Him and Kirby were the people I watched initially, and he was obviously better than me at the time at them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, damn, I want to get on this kid's level. Like, it's very impressive. I found it to be so.
That is true. He did do a lot of CM like speedrunning, but other than he never really did Inferno.
What surprised me, he had like sub 55, I think, and he stopped quickly. So it's like he literally barely put any time into it, and he got a sub 55 within probably less than a week. Yeah. So you already know he's talented. He could do whatever he wants. Maybe not whatever he wants, but he could definitely like have some crazy times. Mm-hmm. Yeah, what shocked me though, going back to the CM thing, is that he never got like a sub 30 on his for like his iron. I think his PB was I think it was like 30:54. I somehow can remember it. That's actually crazy. Like 2 years ago, his PB was like 30:54, and everyone at the time was going for sub 30. There was only less than 5 people, I think, in the game that had a sub 30, and I had gotten world record, the 29:05, on my main. But at the same time, I was also running on my iron a lot, going for sub 30 and trying to like compete with a few other irons who were also going for sub 30. Mm-hmm. And I eventually did get it. And I was the only iron to ever get a sub 30 with pre-TOA gear. And it always shocked me that Lake never had gotten it, because the guy's a demon. Like, he's very talented, but I kind of figured it was more so because he just didn't hard reset like I did.
Yeah.
Like, he would just send whatever. He would always go for a one anvil, but I think he would just send it regardless of what happened after that. He would just send the whole raid.
Yeah, just for like the money potentially.
just for the content. Just because he didn't really, have that desire like I did or some other people to constantly reset for an insane time.
So I want to ask, because I feel like some people that do know of you didn't really realize you were an Ironman before this, and a really beastly Ironman. So what got you to de-iron? Spoiler alert, you did de-iron. But how was that journey? Did you enjoy Ironman? Do you enjoy your gameplay more now, or do you kind of miss the Ironman aspect? Let me know about it.
Oh, I 100% do, yeah. I definitely miss it, but there's a lot of reasons. There is a plethora of reasons that went into me de-ironing. It was ranging from real-life health issues, being extremely addicted to a game, not really being able to commit to stopping the addiction.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do I pull the trigger in some sense? That was another thing. Another thing, I wanted to start streaming, and with the content I wanted to stream, I wanted to do like rec attempts at Inferno and stuff, at TOA CA and whatnot, whatever I want to do. And that's just it's not particularly ideal to do that on an iron. I did like 1600 CG for D arrows. Like,
yeah, it's not.
I was doing, yeah. I mean, like,
did you ever camp Brutal Black Dragons, by the way?
I did not. I never was that down bad. Yeah. But because I was also very into EHB, so I was not going to waste my time doing that when I could get EHB doing CG.
Yeah, that's fair. Oh yeah, were you in Solitary?
Yeah, I was a huge Solitary fan. Well, I don't know what you want to call it, but I was in the clan ranking for like 2 years. I was a major. I was one of the highest ranks. I think there was only like 4 or 5 majors at the time that I got that rank.
Yeah. And
then there was only one colonel. It was like Bam for Alan. Mm-hmm. It was like just Bam/Alan, as well as Do You Ever?
Yep.
I think you know of him.
Yeah.
As well as Lake was also a major. I'm trying to think. There might be like 1 or 2 other people, but it was just about it. Yeah, like my iron was absolutely built, bro. It was over 1 bill XP, had all items in the game. Except for harm.
Missing? Yeah, what were you missing?
The only things I was missing was harm, spectral, and ring of the gods. Every other major PvM item you could think of, I had.
Dear God.
Every single item. I had full Inquisitor, mace, Ellie, everything. All raids completed. And that just, it's partly because of how much I played and how dedicated I was.
Do you think the clan had a part to play in the addiction, just the competition between clan members? Because I will say, like, entirely. I was in Solitary for a bit. I wasn't at like the level I was now when I was active in that clan, but like that definitely had a huge motivation for me to go. Yeah. Just the competition between the clan mates. So
yeah. There was plenty of kids that like I was friends with, and we would always kind of like compete slightly for, small things like EHB and who could get certain items on release quicker.
Yeah.
It's like on release, I finished next, dude, in 1,700 shards.
You're so
It was
lucky.
1 month of next. I think
That's
I probably
everything?
showed you the
Pet
log back in
and
the
pet?
day. Not pet, no. So technically not green log, but everything
you
I had
need.
13 drops, dude, and 1,700 shards.
Yeah.
Shout out to MVP bug.
Oh yeah, I
was
didn't
the
even know
biggest
that.
DPS whore, dude. It was so bad. All of solitary was just seeing me get every drop for like 2 weeks straight, and they're just
Were you
like
in masses?
actually. I was just doing it with Solly members,
Because I was
not
gonna
doing
say,
masses.
during that MVP bug, if anybody knew of the MVP bug, I feel like there was maybe a couple people that were like,
I think the only kid who knew about it that I know is Syndra.
yeah, if you were running masses there, you would have made so much bank. I'm not kidding.
Oh my god!
Because you can literally,
Yeah,
if you're in like a free for all mass, you can literally pull MVPs like 90% of the time, as long as nobody else is going hard. Like,
Yeah, I was of course being tick perfect as well with everything that most people weren't. Being on steroid, I could
yeah, summoning
I
thralls
had that little-
nonstop. Yeah.
I had that little timer over next that would tell you like the exact tick to attack on.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was MVPing like literally, dude, 80% of the kills, even in solitary teams.
Yeah.
I had my archer's ring on, bro.
The archer's ring. Yeah,
my buckler on, dude.
That's when you know you're going fucking hard, is when you literally put an archer's ring on. Like, that's just that little tiny bit of extra. Yeah. Dear God.
I mean, and then it was a similar thing with a nightmare as well. I know you spent a fucking year of your life there. What, 8 months?
9 months
Whereas
straight, and then one more day. Yeah.
Yeah, basically it's 8 months, 9 months. I was only there for 2 months. It was January 2021 when I started, and I finished in 40 days. I finished Nightmare. Well, the full Inquisitor set and Mace. And I was doing 8-hour 1+1 days.
Yeah, those
I don't know what got into me, dude, but it was like this absolute crazy desire to have full Inquisitor and Mace to be able to CM.
Dude, it must have also just been the fact that it obviously eventually got patched, but just that, like, okay, I have a little bit of time to do this. Like, I got to go fucking hard before this gets patched or something, you know?
I actually didn't see it getting patched. It did get patched, though, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Did it?
And yeah, I
don't
think
even remember.
I'm partly to blame for that. I was definitely very vocal about just the stupidity of literally saving so many supplies and so much time just by ulting with your Ironman nonstop. Just like, oh my god.
I got really good at it, too.
Oh yeah, no, I was.
Dude, like I said, I was doing 8-hour days of 1+1 for 2 months, or not 2 months, but 40 days straight. No joke, bro. Like 8-hour days every day and just getting high as fuck. Like that was my only motivation, was to be able to smoke as much weed as I wanted, basically. Like that was part of the motivation, just like basically be on vacation, get super high all day. But yeah, like without the weed, I don't think I would have been able to do it. I'm not even gonna lie.
Dude, I don't even think I could do Nightmare like high at all. I think I would just start, I don't know. That
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think I could do anything like super faded, but I was
start getting used to
I've been
it,
smoking.
I guess.
I've been smoking weed for a long time now, and I'm even able to like do Inferno at this point while I'm faded,
That's
like at a
kinda
high
cool.
level.
That's kind of cool.
Like I think I literally
yeah.
I literally got a 4307, which was wreck, right after I smoked about a month ago, or what was it? Not more than a month ago, and I was like, holy shit, I did not see that coming.
So here's the real question now. Can you speedrun without being high? Because I feel like eventually they'll cross paths. They're like, now I need to get high to fucking do this.
I've actually not smoked any weed. All I smoke is weed, by the way. When I'm talking about, almost just tripped. When I'm talking about like getting stoned, it's just weed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually have never gotten high on stream, and I probably will, but I'm just kind of skeptical about it. I don't want to perform worse than I like normally would.
Okay.
So, and I used to get really nervous for like rope skip, especially when I was high. Like,
oh yeah,
I don't even get nervous for rope skip anymore for the most part, unless it's like ridiculous pace. But
yeah, yeah, just
like,
the nerves are building
dude,
up.
I used to just dread the rope skip, man. Like, and that's how it is for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's you're just like, oh my God, you got to do this whole raid at a perfect performance. And then like, you just know you're on rec pace, and then you got to deal with the fucking rope skip.
Yeah.
It's so easy to misclick and mess up to nerves.
It's the misclick that's the problem. Yeah, it has nothing to do with timing. It's just like, dude, if you move your mouse a little bit further, like it's over.
I have lost probably at least 10 really, really like good rec pace raids just to like being too nervous for rope skip.
Start slamming.
And oh, dude,
just the rage.
Oh, frustrating.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
but it's like that's pretty normal because like that's a low number for how much I've done. I'm like actually really good with it, with holding my nerves. There are some people, I won't say any names, Miami, that literally like they farm rope skip every raid. It's hard to deal with the nerves for it.
That sounds a little bit like me when I had to go for my 150 CMs just for the.
And it's not just that. There's holding your nerves for every other room as well. But it only really hit me bad during rope, like right before rope and right before Ulm. Like if it was demon pace going into Ulm, you'd be like, oh God, I don't want to do an 8-way to start this Ulm. Let me just start with a hammer and chill.
Yeah. Jesus. So let me go back as well to Ironman mode. It is an incredibly addictive mode. It like 100% is. I mean, I feel like time has passed. I don't know what it is exactly. I feel like once you get to a certain point, like end game, where you almost kind of I don't know, not like you're justifying it, but it almost feels as though you've completed it. There's nothing more that you really want to do. But
no,
not just like insane.
I was like you, dude. I would say 90% of people are like that, but I was like you, and I had a mindset where I always had to be doing something. I always had to be getting XP. I always had to be gaining progress toward whatever it was. Mm-hmm. For a long time, I had a goal of 1 bill XP. And, so I was just basically always making pots. I was always woodcutting. I was always doing something to gain XP. That was, like another part of the reason why I de-ironed it was just overtaking my life. I mean, if I was like you, if I was like someone who used this to, create a living off of, there was no way I was going to de-iron. But, I had like just a host of reasons that were telling me to de-iron. Just just so I was going to stop playing 10 hours a day, like forcing myself to woodcut, forcing myself to do all this shit.
And now you just force yourself to, reset Tecton.
Now I force myself to Turiel skip for 5 hours a day instead.
Dude,
feels bad. It's like, dude, I still play the game. People ask me like, are you regretful of it? Of course, I'm a little bit regretful of it because I don't get to experience the mode like I used to. But at the same time, I didn't go anywhere. I'm still playing the game, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours a day.
Yeah.
And I'm literally, I get to fully focus on these specific grinds. And at the same time, I have more time to, work out, more time to actually move my body, more time. And that's something I really started to pick up in these past 2 years is moving my body. I know maybe we can save this for later, but I do want to talk about this.
Let's talk about it now.
Okay, well, yeah. So I remember hearing you say like you recently discovered like how beneficial moving your body is.
Oh yeah.
And that you were like you just feel so much better.
Yeah.
It was something I found out about 3 or 4 years ago. And my ritual, like what I do is I go for runs or jogs or walks, but they're extended. So I force myself to walk all the way to the store and come back. And I come back with 2 gallons of 2 gallons of water in my backpack and like some groceries as well. So it's about 30, 40 pounds of shit in my bag. And I'm hiking. It's basically a hike because it's a lot of uphill and downhill. It's 3 miles there, 3 miles back, and about a mile in between, walking around and other stuff. So it's like 7 miles total. And I do that like every 2, 3, at most 4 days. And I always feel so fucking good, bro, afterward. So fucking good, dude. Like, it is absolutely game-changing. For anyone who doesn't realize the benefits of moving your body, it's what humans were meant to do. There's a lot of things we were supposed to be doing that people aren't recognizing, people don't even realize in modern society, but moving your body on a daily basis, at least somewhat. It doesn't have to be on a daily basis, but try to at least a little bit.
Yep.
You know, I try to aim for, like I said, I go kind of hard with it. I'm like fucking sweating my ass off sometimes.
Yep.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, I'm very skinny, so it's like I'm definitely working my ass off still. But like the benefits, dude, the mental benefits, the physical benefits.
Yeah.
You sleep so much better.
Yep.
You feel so much better.
More
it's
motivation.
like when I get home from it, when I get home from these, I literally feel so fucking accomplished, dude. Even though all I did was go for a walk for 2 hours.
Yep.
You know.
No, and it kind of like, I don't know, I feel like I was always kind of active until I started streaming. As soon as I dropped out of college, dude, it all went downhill. Like I thought my body would just stay the way it is, but like no, as soon as you start plopping your ass down for 12 hours a day, it's just over.
Yeah. That was partly why I got like sick and had like I started to get poor health or poor skin health. And I was like, dude, what is going on? Like I never had poor skin health. And so I had to completely change my life around and adopt a completely new diet, and which that has also changed quite a bit over the years. But essentially, I just haven't eaten any processed food in about 7, 8 years.
Jesus.
Like any processed food whatsoever.
That's insane.
It's just entirely like a sapient diet. It's like vegetables, you know, quality vegetables, quality meat, and quality starches. That's really, in my opinion, all you need for the most part. You know, just keep it simple and you'll feel great, dude. Yeah. I don't get stomach aches anymore. I used to eat like fucking pasta, mac and cheese all the time.
It's the cheese.
And like that was, well, like nowadays I just eat, it's kind of expensive, but I do get grass-fed cheese.
Yeah.
And it tastes nothing like the fucking Kraft mac and cheese that you put on your, it's actually like, it has nutrition in it. And, you know.
Yeah, and I always like get nervous of talking about like specific diets and stuff just because everyone is so different.
Yeah.
Like, things work
for
different
like
people. But,
like I was maybe we shouldn't get into it because it will trigger some people for sure, but like I was vegan for like 4 years and I completely I got extremely unhealthy from it. I couldn't gain, like I told you I'm skinny. I'm literally 6'4" and like 160, 170 pounds.
Why is every fucking person that plays RuneScape like 6'4"? I swear to God, why? Puggin, when I first saw Puggin, sorry to interrupt you. Puggin, I thought was literally 5'6". The dude's like 6'4", 6'5". Yeah, Coxie, like 6'3". I don't understand it.
I know, dude. I was like, I always wonder like what it would be like to see someone 6'4" who plays RS in real life. You're just like, what the fuck? You're a giant. That's what people tell me all the time.
Do you know Defy J is 6'7"?
Holy shit, is
Did you know that? Yeah, he's 6'7".
No, dude.
That dude's a
I thought
fucking
he was 5'10".
unit. That dude's a unit.
I thought he was 5'10".
No, that dude is an absolute unit, man.
Oh my God, bro.
Anyway, yeah. No, dude, honestly, so my sister and my brother-in-law are vegans. And I guess their daughter's vegan as well, even though she's really young. But like, as long as you eat like really healthy, like you have to literally really work on your macros. You got to get them in because it's so easy to just like eat a bunch of carbs when you're a vegan.
Yeah, the thing about veganism is, you know, you might feel good. I'm not telling anyone they should stop being a vegan, okay? I'm just going to say what happened to me. This is my experience. I was a whole food plant-based vegan for about 4 years. And I felt great for the first year. I felt great even maybe leading up into the second year. And I think that was mainly because I had stopped eating processed food, particularly. But over time, what I realized was I ate a lot of fucking food, dude. I ate a lot of food. All the time I was hungry. I would eat so much food. And it was all quality food. You know, it was rices, vegetables, you know, what vegans eat. The thing is I didn't eat any processed junk vegan food, right? So I actually ate like what people would consider to be healthy vegan food, natural food that comes from, you know, the earth. It was no bullshit. It was no processed food. Like I see people eating processed or fake meat, and it's like, dude, total scam.
Yeah.
But so I realized I couldn't gain any weight, no matter how much I ate. I literally stayed 145 pounds as a 6'4", 21-year-old kid, dude. Jesus. It was extremely unhealthy. not only that, I had no energy, I had no libido, I had no, sex drive, I had my hormones were totally out of whack, and my skin was getting worse. My overall health was getting worse. I was overly depressed. And as soon as I started to implement mainly like meats in my diet again, like good quality meats and vegetables, and mixing it together again, my health came back in a massive way, man. I had my hormones come back. My sex drive came back. I had plenty of feelings come back that I hadn't felt in years, dude. I completely lost the depression that I had. There's no way I'm ever going to go back to being a vegan, because I felt like shit. And I ate what most people would consider to be an extremely healthy vegan diet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fantastic
I think
to hear,
I think the only way people are going to recognize it is if they do it themselves.
Yeah.
Because before I had recognized all the health I was losing from being a vegan, I had totally just told everyone to fuck off who said veganism was unhealthy. I was like, dude, you don't know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But, people live and learn.
Dang. Yeah, that's fantastic to hear. I know my sister, when she was younger, tried to go vegan, and her diet consisted of Oreos and hot Cheetos. I know that's not you at all, but yeah, she was like hella depressed.
Personally, people might think this is a bit extreme, but I think that a lot of veganism in current like modern marketing is just a massive money grab. Like things like the fake meat, they're charging like more than they charge for a ground beef patty, just for a soy patty, and it has no nutrition in it. You're not going to feel full after that, like after eating that. To me, it's entirely a cash grab. But yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, there's a topic here from Whale. He wants to know about quest speedrunning, which just dropped, so let me read this. Is quest speedrunning something that would interest you when there's a larger pool of quests to choose from? Have you ever considered quest speedrunning?
To be honest, I've kind of just been memeing about it with the boys lately. I think there's no shot I ever quest speedrun.
Yeah.
I think it's actually quite ridiculous that they have prioritized quest speedrunning worlds over proper speedrunning worlds, or fixing servers, basically.
Yeah.
It's where are Jagex's priorities?
What would
no one asked for quest speedrunning?
What would proper speedrun worlds be? I'm curious.
I don't know. I don't even know.
Like, are you saying, to be honest, for like
I don't
everything?
even think it's that big of a deal.
Are you saying for like every piece of content? Or
no.
For quests?
I'm talking about quest speedruns in general. If they were to implement them in a proper way, I don't know how they would do it. I don't have any like ideas to really share about how they would properly do it. I'm just saying I think quest speedrunning is quite silly. I think it'll be dead fairly, like probably already is dead.
Have you seen the world?
Like,
I keep seeing screenshots on Twitter
he's
of like 5 people total.
Yeah, he was showing me screenshots of like 10, 15 worlds, basically all empty. It's like, dude, why, Jagex? Some of the priorities are so out of whack.
I think partly, okay, first of all, quest speedrunning, there's like 5 total quests you can do, which already is a problem. Like, they're like the 5 most basic quests. If they were to somehow, and I know this would be a giant project to work on, but if they literally had like almost all quests to do from release, which again is asking a lot, I feel like that actually would have encouraged a bit more variety. But yes, quest speedrunning in general is just like
no one was into it in the first place, bro. I'm gonna keep it real. No one was into it in the first place, so I don't know where they got this idea that it was a good idea.
I've enjoyed watching some of the runs, but like there's literally 5 quests.
Okay, sorry. Let me put it this way.
Yeah.
You might enjoy watching it. Are you going to enjoy watching it for a month straight? Are you going to enjoy watching that in 2 months?
Not when there's 5. Are you
going to enjoy? Yeah.
I was under the impression that there would be like a huge, like not a huge, but like a significant portion of the player base trying to like, shave off those little ticks. All I really see is GE Challenge going hard, and like it sucks because like he'll get a world record and there's like 3 likes on it, and I'm like,
dude,
it's depressing mainly, and the 3 likes is obviously I'm definitely like underplaying that. It obviously gets more, but I've seen his post.
Okay, I thought you literally meant 3 likes.
I
was like, wow, that is really down bad.
Yeah, like Galaxy Brain stuff, but it feels like he's beating his world record like every other day. Again, I have not analyzed this. I literally am just taking little things I've seen on Twitter over the past couple weeks, but there just isn't enough people competing for it. So there's not that excitement. There's no rewards for really getting world record. That's like, I don't know, a trophy in the game or something.
If you compare something like that to an Inferno speedrunning, you know, I'm competing with WOM, I'm competing with Neen, I'm competing with Cancer, I'm competing with some up-and-coming runners like Measy, like Simply.
That shit's fun to watch, and it's fun to see, like,
I'm also competing with Hemis, I'm competing with Addy if he wants to get back into it, which I don't think he will for a while. He keeps talking about how he doesn't have interest in it anymore because how much he's done it. But, you know, yeah, there is no competition in Quest speedruns.
Yeah, and the other thing is, like, as soon as you show your run, there's not really a huge ceiling. Like, there's not really a big skill ceiling. Inferno's insane. I mean, you got to pull off shit that's incredibly difficult. With speedrunning, it's like, just like get your... like, leave the dialogue on the proper tick and then start running, which I guess has a little bit of skill, but it's not that deep. Especially when you watch a video of somebody doing it and you just copy it. Like, just, okay, I'll just do this.
I don't think, honestly, I think less than 1% of the player base has an actual interest in it. Yeah. And they want to like consistently watch it on a regular or even a weekly basis. I think probably less than 1% of the player base would actually, you know.
Here's the cool thing about speedrunning, quest speedrunning in the future. What I could see is people holding an event on Twitch that's two of the greatest speedrunners going head to head on a quest, you know, an actual hard quest, not Ernest the fucking Chicken, but like like
dude,
Dragon
imagine
Slayer. That would be fun
like
to watch,
Dragon Slayer, Monkey Madness 2, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Monkey Madness 2 actually might be fun to watch someone speedrun, bro.
Oh yeah,
that is that is a quest I can say I might actually be interested to watch, but you know, there's not many quests like that.
That's part of the problem. It's like Cook's assistant. Like, who cares? Yeah. So if people start, like, if more quests come out, maybe Jagex or some other creator, who knows? Maybe even I'll fucking step in, and because I honestly do like speedrunning events. I don't even know where to start with that, but literally, if it was like GE Challenge, Port Gazard, like all these like I don't even know if Port Gazard's really doing them.
Did you watch Eviescape's tourney?
Yeah, his last one. Well, first of all, anything he does is just brilliant. I think he's a great commentator as well. But like the last one it felt too dragged out, in my personal opinion. Like the events were too long. It was too many hours of just kind of sitting there.
That's
watching.
Fair. Nothing is perfect.
Yeah, no, and it's really hard to say. Like, I don't even know what I would improve on. It's just something where it's like, that was the first time I had actually watched it and seen it, so I can't really, what's the word, compare it to his previous events or other events. Mm-hmm. So I didn't even recognize that, but perhaps you're right. That's just what I felt. Because I would pop in and it was like, you know, early waves of the Inferno. It's just like, I see this all the time.
That was...
You know what I mean? It's just like...
Dude, that felt so drag. The Inferno runs were bad because there was no audio.
That's kind of how I felt about it.
Even I and all my like close friends were like, dude, we can't watch this. It didn't matter who it was. Like, it was so resonant.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of that had to do with literally no audio and just like... Inferno is literally 45, 50 minutes long.
Yeah, that was mainly the problem. If they were like... It's really hard to say. Like, what are you supposed to do? Because you want to see the full run, obviously, or else it looks like it's being edited and altered and stuff. But, like, I don't know.
That was the worst downside to Inferno, and there's just no way around it.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think about Blue Inferno potentially? Do you think like they could make...
That's something I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for Taskle Trials, bro. Like, I am definitely waiting to have another strong piece of content that I feel really motivated to grind for rec. And like, that's just not what TOA is for me at the moment.
Yep.
It seems to be like people go for the 300 rec. That's like what people consider to be like, you know, solo rec is the 300 rec.
Mm-hmm.
And it just doesn't hit me like the way CM hits me, the way Inferno hits me.
Yeah.
I haven't done that much, so maybe it'll grow on me. Maybe as time passes, I'll like it more. I'm definitely open to it. So we'll see, but...
What would you like to see from Taskle Trials, though? Do you want it to be an Inferno clone, or do you think there's things that they could build off of Inferno and get rid of the tediousness?
It's very hard to say. It could be similar to Inferno, and I think it probably should be somewhat similar to Inferno, because Inferno is, I think, the hardest content in the game to be a master of.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think we do need something on par with Inferno, or maybe not as difficult as Inferno. Like, could you imagine if they came out with another mini game that was more difficult? That would be crazy, because Inferno is already like, dude, no one plays it perfectly. You can't play it perfectly. It's too hard to play perfectly. In my run, I made plenty of small little mistakes. You know, I lose a tick on well, we call it spawn delay, but you know, like as soon as the wave starts, you click the nibblers and your chin doesn't go up for a tick. It's spawn delay, but you know, plenty of mistakes I still made. Even at the very end, I was so nervous. It was such crazy pace. Like, basically the rec as it is right now, the 42.17 I got is essentially unbeatable. I would say it's almost on par with Smork's 413 CG rec. It is essentially unbeatable.
Why do you say that, for those listening? Why?
Because there are less than 5 people currently in the game who have the skill to beat it. I mean, maybe there's more than 5, no more than 10. Yeah. I would even say 5 is pushing it. I would literally I would say there are the only people who come to mind when I think who would be able to beat it after grinding a lot is Cancer or Meerkat Phone, Neen, and Wom.
Okay.
So there might be like 1 or 2 other people.
But you said
up and coming runners.
Okay, but
they don't. It's like they don't even run, you know, constantly like I was running. I was running on a 6 task a day basis for 2 months for my stream to try and get partnered as fast as possible. And well, that was like part of the motivation. That and going for rec. Mm-hmm. So it's like, dude,
why was that run in particular so insane though? Was it just crazy hits? But this is for those listening, because I definitely watched the run. For those listening, why is that particularly so impossible?
So at about wave 57 to 60, around there, my T-bow just started turning into a fucking bazooka, bro. I 3 hit to 4 hit to 5 hit every single major from that point on until Zuck.
Jesus.
And not only that, I played it perfectly. I played every wave essentially perfectly. All my chins, I was 3 hitting most the melees, which is what we consider to be like just popping off when you 3 hit a melee or you 3 hit a major. Mm-hmm. And that was just like over and over and over every wave. I was getting northeast mage spawns. It was just like a perfect run. Like in my commentary, you can even hear it in my voice. I'm like just freaking out, dude. In my chat, I probably watched the VOD in my chat because it was live. I got rec live. My whole chat was just freaking out about the hits, dude. It was the craziest thing ever. I literally rewatched the VOD like 10, 20 times because of how crazy it was and how much it just made me smile.
I love it. Those are really good moments when you act like I was rewatching my 500 run, my 500 TOA, and I was like, just the understanding that this was a good or like a good run or a fast run, whatever you're doing, or just a completion in general. Watching it back is like, oh, this is like relieving and this is like enjoyable to just be like, oh, that was good. Like, you know.
Yeah, like people have come, there's like a couple runners like Cancer who have gotten like splits even quicker than the splits I got on the rec run. Mm-hmm. Like he got splits quicker to 60. His 60 and his 63 was like what? I think it was 20 seconds quicker than what I had on rec. But by the time he got to Jad, it was already like 30 seconds, 40 seconds behind my pace. That's only a few waves.
Yep.
That's only like 5 waves. He was already 30, 40 seconds. By the time he got to Zuck, he's already like, 40 seconds, 30, 40 seconds behind what I was. Like I had a 39.41 entry to Zuck, which was the first ever sub 40 entry to Zuck. Jesus. And the second fastest is, I think, from Cancer. I think it was just barely sub 40. But like that is beyond rare. There's like, we're the only 2 people to have that.
Yeah, that is absolutely nuts.
Next after that is like a 40-20, 40-30 entry. Like it just goes to show like the type of RNG I had on that run along with playing near perfectly was just unreal. It was basically top 5%, maybe even top 2 or 1% RNG.
What is the most difficult part of the Inferno in your opinion?
Nerves. Holding your nerves. And, well, obviously, like, playing perfectly, dude. I feel like I've been improving at Inferno even a little bit still to this day, maybe even. Although I do feel like I kind of capped out on the skill level probably, like, a couple months ago or so. After, like, a few months of constant grinding every day. It's hard to say what is the most or most difficult aspect though. Because
what about like
there's
waves?
tons of
Like,
really
it is okay. Like, okay, let me just break it down to the ends of the wave. So like 57 to 64 or whatever, or 65. Triple Jads or Zook. What's the harder part? Do you think Zook's the hardest?
undoubtedly the wave. No.
The wave.
Zuck is free.
Okay.
It's
Even
undoubtedly
doing the
the
Jad
wave.
skip and everything. Do you think that's free now? That shit
Oh
gets
yeah.
intense. I don't know. I guess.
Oh
For
yeah,
a
but the
newbie,
thing is, it's only intense the first times you do it. Once you start doing it, once you've done it 20, 30, 40, 50 times, you realize it's a mechanical process. You can break it down into the game ticks that you have. Like you're never going to take any damage from the major or from Jad if you play it perfectly. And it's not that hard to like flick perfectly when you have, as good of an understanding of the tick system as I do.
Yeah, and practice.
So I would say it's from wave 50. Wave 50 isn't that hard. It's more so the fact that you get one hit by the fucking ranger off spawn. It just depends what the ranger wants to hit you off spawn. If he's going to see you off spawn, basically. Sometimes he doesn't. It's pretty much like wave 60 to 63, 64 is the hardest to survive. But I used to, like, when I was first learning Inferno, I would always have the wave counter thing open, the thing that shows you what, like, I would have the wiki page open, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Like, I'd be looking at all the current monsters of this wave, what they're going to be on the next wave, for every wave. And I completely stopped doing that for Inferno speedruns. I don't even think about what wave I'm on at this point. I just, hit boss, hit NPC.
Yeah. What do you think?
I just try to be in the moment and not get nervous about it or whatever, I try to just like play it as a one fluid motion.
Yeah. What do you think about an Inferno with no randomized waves? So it'd be like a dedicated, different sort of Inferno where every single wave is completely static. All the nibblers are always on the same tile as well. So it's just like.
See, that's an interesting idea, but at the same time, I don't think that would work because, or as well as it does now, being random, because that's part of Inferno. That's part of what makes runs more special than others.
Yep.
It's just part of like RNG in general. This game is so RNG based. It's just beyond RNG based. It's so fucking RNG based. So, I mean, that's just RS. I don't think a static spawns would work well, personally.
I think
if they were, like, you would have to have a whole new leaderboard,
Yeah.
It wouldn't even be the same run whatsoever.
Yeah, and people would, I don't know, it would definitely separate, like, the players as well. Like, people wouldn't even be doing one of... People wouldn't be doing one because the other one would be more enticing, but yeah.
Yeah, there are so many spawns that are more, like, they're more optimal than other spawns where you can, like, clump a melee into a blob a lot easier and quicker with less risk,
So this was an idea I brought up on the Sae Bae cast with Adwam and Corky, was talking about like a hard mode Inferno. Again, these are just random spewed ideas where every single one of your hits is a max hit, but every single one of the enemy's hits are also a max hit.
Wow, that wouldn't be possible because of mini blobs, though.
Is that not possible?
Well, it might be, because if you healed, technically you could heal a lot with pipe, so maybe it would be possible.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I think it would be possible. It's just like...
Also, was Wom rec holder when you had him on? He was, right?
I think he got it literally the next day. I think.
Oh
that's
my
what
god,
happened,
really?
or something like that. Yeah, I think it was like that next morning.
Because he had pre TOA gear rec for, I think it was 1 to 2 months. Him and Joel and Ian had basically the same time. Wom had a 44.31 and Neen had a 44.34. And Neen had two 44.34s, actually. And then after that, it was me. I had a 44.43. So I was third for a while. And I was going for that sub 45 for a long time. That was what I initially started my streams with, the sub 45 grind / world record attempts.
That's so insane that it's now 42, right? What is the current world record? 42?
17, yeah.
17? Okay.
42.17.
Jesus.
And second right now is by Wom, who has a 42.49. And third is Cancer with a 42.58.
Okay. That puts things into perspective. Okay. What about combat achievements? I mean, now that we're talking 42.17s, do you think the 65-minute Grandmaster was a little bit too lenient?
No.
You think it was fine?
No. I think it's fine.
Okay. That's just
Because,
insane that people are getting literally
99
23 minutes faster than that. I don't know. It's mind-blowing.
I mean, the shit I'm doing, man, it's,
Yeah.
it's Thrall Inferno.
Yeah, nobody can do that shit.
It's massive risk. Like, I die so many runs.
Mm-hmm.
There's like less than 1% of the players who even speedrun Inferno in the first place. So, there's like most people are really happy to get their first sub 55. That's not that far off of a sub 65, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a fair,
Yeah.
I think combat achievements are so free in general that I don't even like think about it that much.
Yeah. What do you think will be the combat achievements to TOA? Wait, do you have a Zuck helm, by the way?
I have a lot of Zuck helms. I literally have 5 accounts of Zuck helms.
Dear God, what the fuck? Did you actually enjoy doing combat achievements?
No, I only did it on. I literally only did it on 2 accounts, the process was entirely me on my iron. Like I did it on my iron.
Mm-hmm.
I think like you remember me doing like next with you as an iron.
Yep.
To like finish some tasks. To get the helm back. But like I share accounts with Smork. I share accounts with, well, it's mainly just Smork now.
Yeah, but it's all they all have Zuck helms on.
Yeah. So I have my account, my iron that I de-ironed. I have my old main, that also has a Zuck helm now. I have my friend's account. Shout out Crone Jubal or Simon. He was an iron as well. Who he just works so much in real life now as a nurse, so he doesn't have time, but he always tunes into my streams and he's literally given me his account to play on. I think initially he just gave me it as a fan. Like it's really humble of people to see how many fans I have.
So
like, I have people just giving me their accounts and stuff.
What?
So I've had his account for like 6 months now, which is another Max Cape Zuck helm account. He had another Zuck helm account that he just liked doing combat achievements, so he gave me that one as well. And so that's 4, and then I also have a 5th one. I do actually have a 6th one as well, but it's Jimmy's account, and we just share it. I never use it. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty much between 5 and I would say 5 accounts.
What do you
and I only use 2 or 3 of them anyways, so it's not even.
What do you anticipate seeing from TOA, like the combat achievements coming from there? And I would probably say in like the next month or 2, they're going to come out with them. What do you want to see from there? What do you expect to see?
I'm not looking forward to that, bro.
Me neither, to be honest. And plus, I'm pretty sure one of them is going to be doing 500 again. I'm just like, I don't want to fucking do a 500 again.
Well, at least 500.
I can do it.
Once you do it once, once you do it once, it's pretty much, you'll be able to get more completions. Just a given, I think.
It's just annoying.
But definitely, yeah.
And there's probably going to be one where it's like do an 8-man 500.
I'm surprised you think they're going to say do a 500. I think there's no shot they do that, bro. I think since they were banning people for like selling 500s or whatever, I think there's no way they're going to make 500s part of CA. I think they'll make it a 400.
There's going to be team ones as well. So I feel like, I don't know. I have still yet to do one team TOA. I don't even know the team mechanics. I literally don't. So
really?
I'm going to go into that day where I'm trying to do some team things and just like have because like there's weird mechanics I've seen at ACA, at Baba, where you like all got to split up and do boulders. Like I've literally soloed every single time I've walked in there. I've never even walked into a TOA with another person. Like I just don't understand the mechanics. So I feel like when that comes out, I'm just going to...
Very free, bro. I wouldn't even worry.
Okay.
The whole entire raid is just very easy. Comparing this raid, I mean, unless you're on 400, 500 invos, then it's obviously like, difficult, but not really that difficult. Even comparing it to like a 300 level raid in teams to like just a hard mode Tob, I would say hard mode Tob is harder.
That's actually crazy to think how difficult. I remember
as well
week
as Chambers.
One,
Chambers isn't like hard, I guess. I wouldn't call it like hard, but
for you, but keep in mind how many hours you put into that shit. If Chambers were to come out brand new right now, we would be like, what the fuck is this? Like,
yeah, that's true as well.
Ulm, I mean, I'm talking Ulm. Of course, the other rooms are like, okay, this is like brain dead. But
yeah.
Yeah, actually, that actually is kind of a good little question I have. Okay, TOA is incredibly intuitive. It's like do these mechanics. It's very visual. You know what's happening. With Chambers, I mean, that was the first raid that ever came out, and that one was just like, I don't know. There's so many little things that you can't intuit. You know what I mean? Like, the 4-0, 4-1, all that shit, setting that up, that makes no sense. Like, there's no intuition with that, I feel like. Unless you're fucking Wooks or somebody that's just...
Yeah, like, if you mean discovering it, then yeah, I would never have discovered that. I'm not, I'm not a player to discover shit. Mm-hmm. I'm just one to run it after the calcs have been done.
Yeah. Aka's a fun room, by the way, because that does have that sense of mechanics where, like, this isn't really how you should be doing it.
Kind of,
yeah. Run, but it feels
butterfly
good,
or whatever.
Yeah, butterfly. That shit's fun.
Yeah.
It's just a little tilting when you make one mistake and get melee like a fucking 70.
I assume you didn't watch my run, or you maybe watched a little bit of it. I don't know. I don't know who would watch the full VOD of any 500, unless it was fucking like someone who's really good at it. But my Aka, like, oh my god, it's pretty scuffed, dude. I'm pretty sure I Karis twice. Yeah. Pretty sure I Karis twice in the first like Aka alone, and I probably messed up butterfly like 3 times as well.
Yep.
And at the very end, I got hit by like 5 cum balls too. On top of that, like, I don't know how I fucking survived that raid.
Yeah. Now that yellow, honestly, listen to this. What if there was no yellow Karis? Like, what if that?
See, that's the thing. I took a week off streaming to farm fucking entry modes to get the yellow gem on my main, because I only had the yellow gem on my alt. So I was like, okay, I can go for 500 on my alt, and then I tried doing it without the Karis on my main. I'm like, oh my god, I have to turn on double trouble. I have to turn on keep back. Like, I'm not doing this, bro. I'm going farm entry modes.
Yeah. No, I mean, yellow Karis literally has made, I mean, that...
I'm sure I would eventually get it. It's just, oh god. It really, for me individually, it came down to, like, I would have had to turn on keep back and double trouble. And I think Dex said it well. I was talking to Dex about this. He was like, it really just clicks for some people's brains, and others it doesn't. And kind of it just doesn't really click for me. As well as the double trouble thing. Like the fucking orbs that spawn on the ground when you move. I think it also has to do with me not using True Tile. I think if I used True Tile, I would probably have a better
That is one thing I'm so impressed by, in a way. Like, how the fuck are you not using True Tile? Like, it's not even like...
I don't know.
Impressed. It's just like why? Like, it makes it easier.
Well, I don't know. I've tried it like a year or 2 ago. I put it on for a second. It's like, I don't know about this. I mean, yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
I'm one of the only people who don't use True Tile.
Watching you play is really cool to see, mainly because, like, yeah, you are just kind of clicking, and I'm so used to seeing exactly where your guy's about to go that not seeing that makes it seem more impressive. Like, damn, you're just kind of, like, guessing. It feels, even though we all used to play like that at one point, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's just an understanding of the ticks, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like it's such a good help that it's like, why? And everyone uses it too.
I do still, like, it seems like every single Inferno runner at a top level uses it. I can't think of anyone who doesn't. So maybe I will start using it at some point, but as of now, it doesn't feel like it really hinders me. I just kind of have like grown so accustomed to it, and I've played like that for 15 years, so.
Yeah. Faint asks, what do you think about, and we already kind of covered this because I already brought it up, but what do you think about adding a max hit only server for speedrunners? You eliminate RNG factor and people can compete appropriately for the fastest times in any content. Also, what exactly is fun about letting a stopwatch dictate your gameplay?
Yeah, I don't think that sort of makes me feel like it's just another quest speedrun if you max hit it every time. I mean, even with Inferno, I've come to a point where it's just so RNG based, the level I'm at. Like, I'm literally coin flipping every time, like praying I get insanely good, like top 5% triple jads, top 5% zuck every time. Mm-hmm. I'm always gambling to try and get that. At least at this point now, that's pretty much the only way I'm going to fucking ever PB again, is if I get some ridiculous, crazy triples zuck. What was the second part?
Basically, what is fun about letting a stop? He just is curious, like, what's fun about speedrunning, basically.
So I've always kind of strived to be that person to set the bar. I've always wanted to be the person to set the bar in terms of the best possible time that people know of, the world record. I don't know, just holding that title of world record holder for pieces of content is very satisfying. I don't know, yeah. It's always fun to, being how RNG this game is, you never really know how fast you could go. Like, the sum of my personal best splits and CM, I would have a sub 25 if I had the sum of all, my best splits. But that's obviously like ungodly unlikely. It's just never going to happen. Mm-hmm. Like getting a 530 first floor, a 525 second, a 630 third, and then a 730 ohm or something. It's just literally not possible.
Yeah.
It literally, I mean, it might be technically like possible, but it's something so, yeah. But you never know. You'd never know. That's the thing with RNG. You never really know. Mm-hmm. Like, you could just have those things happen in one run. We've seen it, There are certain runs that have kind of like shined like that. For example, my Inferno run. For example, Smork CG run. For example, Divine's pre-TOA solo CM rec. He was the only one to be able to beat me. At the pre-TOA, I had rec for about almost 2 years, and it was just barely a sub 29. It was a 28.54, and I honestly thought no one was going to beat it. I knew it was beatable, but I didn't even see anyone beating it. And he came out of nowhere, and literally during his EVscape tourney practice for solo CM, he somehow fucking got a 28.34, which was without a question unbeatable. Without question. No one was ever going to beat that, and I knew that for sure. I knew that time was so absolutely ridiculous. No one would ever beat that. Not even me.
Who was that guy that Adicon reviewed? His like Zuck that was like under 2 minutes or something. Like his entire
Gino?
Zuck was. Yeah, what happened there was like a 1 in a fucking bajillion RNG to get.
1 in 40,000, yeah. A 1 in 40,000 Zuck, yeah. Oh, dude.
What the
That
fuck?
Zuck was so rare. No one's even come close to it, even with Missouri. We have just finally seen someone come close to that, being Wom's 4249 he got recently. Mm-hmm. He somehow managed to string together not just a 145 Zuck. Keep in mind, Gino Zuck was about a 130, I think a 132.
Dear God.
130 or 132, something like that. Yeah. And so the closest to that is Wom's Zuck that he recently got on his PB. It was like a 145 Zuck, and that was with Missouri. So it's just like, you never know.
Yeah.
What RNG is capable of.
Yeah. Somebody's going to pull the 1 in 5 billion or something. It's just going to be like a 110.
Exactly, dude. Exactly.
Shit. Yeah. No, I mean, you're definitely right about like the whole max hit sort of server thing.
I think that would be stale.
It would make things super boring.
Like
I mean, every Zuck would definitely be like a fucking 50-second Zuck or whatever. Like, you're just one-shotting everything. Like, I don't know. Not one shot.
It's a cool idea. It is a cool idea,
though.
But I think that is part of what makes this game so special, is the whole RNG aspect. And what keeps people returning for speedruns. Yeah. Some people say that the RNG is a bad part of speedruns. Sure, it can be in some situations, of course. Like, for example, how chest update for solo CM, before like the chest update came in, you used to have to fucking scav, bro. When I was first watching Lake and Kirby's CM, you had to kill the scav. Yep. That added this massive layer of RNG to the beginning of the raid that was not necessary whatsoever. So those are certain, aspects of RNG that just don't belong in games. But I think, RuneScape's RNG with the hit system it's fine. I like it, and it gives me this feeling that, Rex can always get broken because of how RNG works. Even Rex that you might classify as unbeatable, they might eventually get beaten.
Yeah.
And when they do get beaten, it's absolutely astounding. It's absolutely crazy. Like watching the VOD back, for example. I mean, even just looking at the times, you're just like, how is that possible?
Mm-hmm. So Theo here asks, are there any other games that you spent time speedrunning? And he also wants to know pretty much what is Like the most. Okay, what he is asking is, what do you think the peak solo CM world record is with current gear? What do you think you could get? And of course, it can always go faster if you just get some fucking insane RNG. But like, is there a time that you're definitely looking to get with your solo CMs? And then, of course, the first question was just like, are there any other games you've speedran?
Yeah, so in terms of speedrunning other games, I haven't technically speedrun any other games. The only thing I did that I wouldn't even compare it to speedrunning, but I kind of did like kill records in Warzone. Like I would try to get as many kills as possible. It's not a speedrun, but it's sort of like, you're running around the map as fast as possible, trying to find as many people as possible. That's the only thing I could compare. But in terms of speedrunning any other games, I haven't. It's just been RS.
So what is your current CM time, world record, and then what do you think like is possible for you?
So it is 27:12 right now, which I set a week or two ago, and I know for sure it'll be sub 27 eventually. I was talking to Kirby about this last night. Actually, he thinks it will be about 26:30 within a year. Somewhere in that ballpark. And I would agree with him at that. I think it's possible to get faster than a 26:30. I think you'd probably need perfect play on top of God RNG to get anything faster than a 26:30. Even getting a 26:30 would be just absolutely unreal. I've been fairly close, actually a couple of times now, because I've been running a lot since the gear came out. Like I've been pretty much running how I used to run a lot, like 5-6 hours a day. Is what it feels like. Maybe not quite that much. Maybe it's more so like 3 or 4, but definitely some days maybe 5 when I'm streaming. Yeah, I'd say what is reasonable and best possible time, low 26 or just about sub 26:30. It would be really, really hard to see it get below a sub 26 with current gear. Like basically impossible. Just way too unbelievably rare. So yeah, somewhere in that ballpark. 26:30, 26:15 to 26:30 at best, I think, is what it will like sit at for forever until we get new gear.
Yeah, I was thinking like with your 27:12, is that what you said?
Yeah.
So
27:12.
with that, like, what were the best parts? Like, was there? Okay, let me ask this: was there a part in there where you got screwed over by RNG? Like, was your Vasa bad? Was your Guardians fucking slow? Like, was there something that was just like very apparent, or was everything pretty good?
I'm trying to remember. I can't. It might have been like a 120 or a one. It might have even been a 130 Vasa instead of like a 1 minute flat Vasa.
For those listening,
you basically always want to get a 1 minute flat Vasa.
Okay.
It's possible no matter your setup, really. Like you just want bow to pop off. That's all there is to it. If bow pops off, you could even get a sub 1 Vasa without veg. Like I've had it plenty of times. It's like a 1 in 15 chance to get a 1 minute Vasa. To get a 1 minute or like a 1 crystal Vasa. I think it's probably like now a 1 in 11 or so. That could be wrong, and it probably is wrong because I haven't done the calcs, but that's just what it feels like. Somewhere in the ballpark of 1 in 10 to get a 1 crystal Vasa with my setup. And I'm not using Venge. I'm just using a Thrall Surge setup is what people identify it as. So I have to look back at the splits. I'm not on my PC right now, so I couldn't even peep the specific splits. But I had it was pretty much like all the rooms were good. All the rooms were good, but it was pretty much like every room could have been like 5 seconds quicker. You know what I mean? Like nothing in particular was like slow, I guess.
The other thing I wanted to ask was the idea that Lake and I were talking about last Sae Bae cast of talking about Inquisitors guaranteeing Dragon Warhammer spec. As long as full Inquisitors is equipped, you will always
I listened
hit
to that cast.
your Dragon Warhammer spec. Is that appropriate?
I did listen to the cast, and I do think it's appropriate, but I don't know about the 5% DPS boost with Inquis. I think that was a little excessive.
That's fair.
It might be appropriate, but again, I think it might be excessive. I think the landing the hammer thing is probably appropriate though, because like, I don't know, no one likes missing specs. Look at, and the only places you miss specs are the worst places, like Corp and Solo CM.
Yep.
Everywhere else, like the hammer isn't really that much of an issue. It's kind of bad at TOB, but like for the most part, you know, you pretty much always land your hammers, other than at SOT sometimes, and sometimes you miss at Maiden. So, I mean, that would pretty much, it's almost like you saying that is pretty much like for people who cry about Tecton.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, the problem with Tecton is they've already nerfed it twice, which is why they're likely hesitant to ever do it again. Although, I mean, it still needs another nerf. Like, I sometimes sit there for 30 minutes and I don't get a one anvil. I mean, maybe they don't think one anvils should be that common, but I beg to differ. I think most people beg to differ. I think they should definitely, if not, go through with making, like, ink and hammer always land. Just nerf fucking Tecton, bro. Just nerf it again, dude, because it needs to be nerfed to some extent again. Like, it's part of the reason why we don't have as many people speedrunning solo CM as we could. And it's just kind of a not toxic, but it's just exhausting. That's a better word for it. It really is an exhausting experience to have to reset Tecton so much. Yeah. Like, there are a lot of people who don't use an alt. I only recently started to use an alt, which speeds up the process massively. But even then, it's still quite slow. It still takes me on average like 6 minutes for a one anvil. Whereas before it was probably more like 10 minutes, 9 minutes. And it's just, that's not a very healthy state. It doesn't sound that bad on paper, like six to 10 minutes for a one anvil. But the problem is with RNG, of course, you can go 30 minutes dry of that. You can go an hour dry of that. It's happened plenty of times. And especially for like irons, dude, like irons who don't have alts and they have limited supplies. Like, I would get fucking so tilted, dude, just getting like so close to a one anvil as an iron, and it's like, dude, I'm running out of Zammy brews, I'm running out of strength pots. Yeah. I literally ran out of strength pots, bro. You never run out of super strength pots as an iron. That should not be a thing. You get so many quorums and limps. It wasn't the quorums, it was the limps.
Yeah.
It was the limps, and so I basically had to constantly do limp runs. It was even a joke how I was like, I would joke about how, dude, I'm AFKing Abbeys right now. I'm at Spectres for limp seeds. Like, you know, the big ones in the catacombs.
Yeah,
like,
those ones that shit out like 11 or something.
Yeah.
Dear God. It's kind of cool that there's always like, you know, Deviant Spectres are one of the worst fucking monsters, but just the fact that they do have a unique little drop where they just shit out limp words. I kind of like it when a monster has that niche drop. Yeah.
I mean, I actually did camp them a little bit when I was really down bad and just wanting to AFK because they're super AFK.
Those
so
things fucking suck. Like, their drops are so garbage.
The only thing I looted was the fucking limps, I think. Like, yeah,
dude, they are pretty. There's a lot of things that are just so imbalanced on this game. Okay, Matthias, or however you pronounce his name, is asking, who is the best mage you've ever tobbed with?
Oh my God, you're talking about Matt. Oh my God.
Yeah. He has.
I think I read this.
Yeah, he has a couple more questions. I'll read them if you need me to reread. Feel free. How do you keep a strong mental on these ridiculous record grinds? And what do you think about the current state of the game, and where would you like to see it go?
Wait, I'm sorry. What was the first part?
So the first part is, who's the best mage you've ever tobbed with? How do you keep a strong mental? And then what do you think of the current state of game, and where would you like to see it go?
So
I'll reread it again as well.
I would say I'm the best mage I've ever gone with. I don't know. Keeping a strong mental is I don't know. It's hard to say because it will differ from person to person. How, you know, one person deals with their nerves or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But if he's talking about like keeping my cool like during rec pace type thing, then that's just, you know, it's going to differ from person to person. For me, I've been able to keep my cool because of how many times I've been in that like dark situation of being on rec pace and trying to keep my cool. I've just been there so many times that it's easier to deal with now. But in terms of like continuing to grind and keep doing these grinds and always going back, there's several motivating factors. I think for one, it's some of the best content on Twitch that I can provide. So, I mean, I think it's pretty clear, being how fast I've blown up on Twitch. Literally partnered within 70 days. From 0 follower Andy to partnered in 70 days. And I knew I would get viewers, but I did not think it would be like I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't think I'd be making...
People love that fucking high-end content of just speedrunning. Like, it's so addicting to watch.
Like, I didn't think I'd be making anywhere nearly as much money as I am either. I mean, I'm not saying it's a lot, but it's way more than I thought it would be, basically is what I'm saying. So that's part of what motivates me is my viewers, my stream, and it's kind of the only thing I really enjoy doing in the game. As of late, I think the game is a little bit dry of updates, so I've been speedrunning, for probably close to 2 years now. Over 2 years now. Maybe a bit longer than 2 years. Like, consistently speedrunning on, like, almost a daily basis. Some things, some form. Close to a daily basis. Yeah. It's just always trying to strive to become better, like with Inferno. It's hard to say now because I have a time it's just essentially unbeatable. It's very close to that point.
And it's hard to keep going when you're the holder of the record, Like, you gotta wait until somebody else.
Yeah, I'll be honest, my motivation has gone down a little bit, but that's also why instead of 6 tasks a day, which was fucking gnarly, like, especially because of how much tutorial I'd have to do. I would have to do, like, some days 5 hours of tutorial after stream. So now I'm only doing 3 tasks a day, which is a lot more manageable in the sense that I'm not burning myself out of just clicking way too much. Like, it's very high APM. My wrist would be kind of fucked, actually, from, like, the 2 months I did of just 6 tasks a day. So doing 3 a day is not actually that bad. My wrist is fine. Like, it's not as easy to burn out. I still enjoy it. And, yeah.
Here's one thing before we move on to his final topic, which is, like, current state of the game. Where would you like to see it go? What do you think about tutorial skipping? Do you think that, honestly, like, I don't know, do you think the dopamine of getting that Zuck task is worth it? Or do you think tutorial should just be removed entirely? And do you think you should be able to nonstop run into Infernos, basically on task, but not get any Slayer XP?
Okay, so everyone can mutually agree tutorial needs to be fixed, right? Everyone knows that. Yeah. But if you were to say, should we just make it so everyone can just instantly get an Inferno task? No, that should not be the case either. Maybe some people would say that you should, but I think that also is part of what makes the rec so hard to get. I think that's also part of what makes, grinding so hard to do. Not so hard, but, somewhat more difficult. But it doesn't have to be like, it doesn't need to take on average 45 fucking minutes to get a Zuck task, dude. It's just overwhelming. Like, no one wants to do that much tutorial. Mm-hmm. If you looked at my gem, bro, and you saw how many banshees I've killed, you'd laugh. You'd laugh.
Okay, like, wait. This is a random suggestion. What if there was just a way to talk to a Slayer Master, pay a certain amount of points to double the likelihood of a Zuck task? So it cuts it from 45 to like 23 or whatever. Is that appropriate?
See, it's a good idea. Sure, it's appropriate, but does it fix things entirely? No. I wouldn't even say that would fix it. I would say that would still be almost too uncommon. Mm-hmm. But I think that would really, really help the situation. And honestly, I don't even think people would be complaining anymore if you doubled the Zuck task rate optionally. That's a great idea.
What would you think would be the best? And like that one idea that I've heard is you don't get any Slayer XP, but you can go into the Inferno as if you're on task. But you obviously would not get any Slayer XP, but you could just constantly go in.
That's another somewhat reasonable solution, I guess. It sort of like brings me back to the whole, like, how would you implement speedrunning worlds? I don't really know how you would implement a better tutorial system either. It's on Jagex's, it's their responsibility. It's not mine. Mm-hmm. I haven't done the brainstorming like maybe some people have, so I don't really have a proper answer for that. But I will say that those are not bad ideas. Yeah, and the direction of the game, to be totally honest, well, it's very hard to say. As much as I love the game, and I have loved the game for years, I have noticed a slightly downwards trend in the past year or two Nothing crazy, but definitely a slight downward trend in player count. But at the same time, you have to compare this MMO to other MMOs. How does this MMO compare to other ones? It's like this is one of the only MMOs that still thrives. Literally, it's like this and Final Fantasy are the only MMOs. Every other MMO has been losing players for a decade. Look at World of Warcraft. It's been losing players for a decade. Look at Black Desert Online. Look at plenty of other MMOs. They all die, whereas RS is still around, right? So you have to give it to them. Like, they are doing plenty right. Whereas, I mean, as much as we complain about Jagex, they do a good job in some places,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's like they haven't brought in an MTX. God forbid they ever do. I don't think they ever will. There's no way they will.
Just don't
There's
touch
no
my
fucking way.
Ironman mode. Just fucking don't touch that no matter what.
They won't. They won't. Yeah. You're safe. They won't.
We're safe till next year. No. I mean, they've made it pretty. They've stated it bluntly that they have no plans on adding microtransactions.
Yeah.
Until half the player base quits over an update, and then they're like, "Shit, we need to make this just game die."
See, that's the thing though. Like, they have so much potential to bring in good updates, though. As much as we cry about bad updates, they do also bring in good updates. Look at Chambers. Look at TOB. I would even say look at TOA. And not everyone loves it, but it's still, I would say, a good update. I mean, we do have good updates in the game, and I still have faith in Jagex, and I still believe the game has potential to keep growing. Actually, to keep growing. It will be difficult, but at the same time, people aren't really like super. I think people that play RS are just like, they're really content with playing RS forever, basically.
Yeah.
We've all been playing it for 15 years. Yeah. Like, plenty of us have been playing it for 15 years
or 20.
And if they were to or 20, and if they were to just like implement a few more really good updates over the next 2 years, I think like there would never even be any debate about the game dying.
What would you like to see? Is there like anything that you've ever thought you're just like, that would be amazing? Either an update or just some quality of life or some shit. I know you've already kind of stated some.
I'm sure I could come up. I'm sure I don't really. I can't really come up with something right here on the spot, but there's definitely stuff to be done.
Okay. Is there like a certain? And I know you're not the person that's always like just coming up with.
And
ideas, it sounds like. But
yeah, like I said, I don't know like what type of specific PvM boss they should release. I don't do the brainstorming that Jagex does. The devs do.
What about?
I'm just here to play the game.
What about when it comes to weapons? Have you ever imagined a weapon or some sort of piece of gear or something that you would like to see in the future, or is that another thing you just don't fucking care about?
That's something another thing I just let the devs do, and when the time comes, I get to play around with the new weapons. Yeah, it's not something I really have like pondered on, to be honest.
I respect that position, honestly. I'm kind of envious a little bit. Just like accepting the way the game
I mean,
is.
You say you're envious of that, but I'm also envious of your mindset because, dude, you're mega creative at times. Like, you have come out with so many interesting and cool video ideas that I've watched over the past like year or two that no one else is coming out with, bro. Like, I've always watched your videos. I've been subbed to you since you were like 500 subs. I used to comment on a lot of your videos. I'm sure you probably don't remember, but
no, I think
maybe you do.
Yeah, there's definitely those names, like the OG names that we're watching back with like Ramble fucking 10 and stuff.
Yeah, I have literally, and I used to watch every one of your fucking uploads entirely, like probably your first 50 videos, most of your first rambles as well. Probably your first 30 or 40 rambles I watched entirely.
Yeah, I have this
and
weird...
I fucking love them.
I appreciate that. I have this weird, just creative mind when it comes to this game. I think it honestly kind of stems from my childhood. I was playing this game since I was 9 years old.
Dude, yeah, like, oh my god, especially when I was Iron, like, I was like, this guy is a fucking genius. Where is he on the dev team, bro? Where is this guy in the dev team?
Dude, I would be the worst J-mod. I'm just gonna say that right now, mainly because I just couldn't accept other people. Like, I feel like I would be so zeroed in, pigeonholed on certain ideas. I couldn't see the overall player base. Like, when we look at updates, I mean, TOA, for example, I would have thought, oh, like, this is too easy or something like that. But it's like, dude, they are making updates for the entire player base. And when you're so sucked into this idea of everybody kind of being end game, which honestly I associate with a lot of people that are maxed and are just like really in the end game of stuff. And so you forget that there's so many new players as well that need to be, I don't know, catered for or catered toward. And it's just like,
I mean, your ideas have ranged from everywhere though, man. Your ideas have ranged from helping new players to helping old players. So
yeah.
It's good that you do have somewhat contacts with. Who was it you talked to, man? Because I know some of the things you have like talked about have been implemented. I mean, such as the Nightmare 1+1 patch.
No. A lot of players hate me actually. When I was in Olympus,
is it Aiza though? Who was the J-mod that kind of like looks more
that was
closely
Arcane.
to your content?
Arcane was definitely the one that
it's Arcane. That's who it is.
He was the one that made changes to Nightmare, and mainly because, I mean, it was Lake as well. I mean, me and him both were just streaming this shit, and it was very clear this content is total dog shit. And the drop rates are just absolutely absurd. But I was a big advocate for getting rid of alting in general for Ironman, which a lot of people were butthurt about. Now, that's not to say I was the root cause, but
as well.
Yeah, I definitely pushed.
You hit me bad, bro. You hit me bad right when I was. I think I did about 750 1+1 corp, and then I was like, oh my god, my boy Sae just cucked these shit out of me. And then I had to do 2600 corp for my first Arcane.
Yeah. But you gotta say, okay, now that you're a main account, now that you're not even associated with Ironman, don't you think that's appropriate though to not make Ironman like obligated, basically?
Entirely,
I know it's not
entirely
obligated, but it's just.
Of course, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
But yeah, no, I definitely
just gives some people a massive advantage over others. Look at Shadow, for example. I know you know who Shadow is. Yeah. He finished Corp Log in like a week.
I know.
Of 1+1. The kid was playing 13-hour days, but still, like, dude, that's unheard of.
Dude,
yeah, shout out Shadow, man. That kid's an absolute legend.
I wish I don't care about RS.
I've said this and I'll say it again. If there's one person I want to come back and stream the game, it's Shadow.
Dude,
I'm like a 13-month sub to him.
Dude, Shadow was literally the craziest grinder I have ever seen on this game. PvM.
He was someone you were talking about, like, to touch back on the comparable like grinds when I was in Iron within Solitary. He was also in Solitary, and he was also someone I was competing with, like, friendly competition at the time to finish Inquisitor. He was another person grinding it.
Yeah, he was. It
was between you. It was between Lake, it was between me, and it was all just like friendly competition. It was also Travis, except, well, Travis fucking finished the log instantly.
I know. So lucky. No, but Shadow was like, dude, he was a threat. Like, that dude came out of the fucking woodworks and just started going hard. Like, crazy. Like, he could have had the most items on an Ironman. If he were to have never stopped playing, and I know there was a lot of other reasons why he had to stop, a lot of like login issues and stuff, but like, dude, he would have been easily top 5, top 3, maybe even top items in Solitary, I think.
Wow.
Like, he went so
I thought you were gonna say I thought you were gonna say of all time in terms of all irons, but
no, I mean like items wise. He just was so into it. Like, he would grind. I'm talking like 16-hour days. Like, that's all he lived and breathed it, and he would do efficient methods. I'm not saying he's the greatest by any means. He definitely had a lot to improve on gameplay wise, but like, he would push.
So. Yeah. No, I love Shadow.
Yeah, dude's a beast. Okay, let's see. Friend Zones asks, how much more intense is speedrunning at your level and at a beginner level for both Cox and Inferno? I guess it's a strange question, but I guess I am a little curious.
Well, it's hard to say. I do prompt everyone to still try to attempt and do speedrunning, no matter really what level of the game you're at, or, well, not entirely, but as long as you know how to do the raid, basically, and you've been knowing how to do the raid for some amount of time, and you want to start like improving to get faster and faster. It doesn't even matter. You can start speedrunning at any stage. Like, start with a sub 35 solo CM, slowly work your way to a sub 34, to a 33. And so on. Eventually, you'll be down to a sub 30 and even faster. It's not that much different at the highest level. The only difference is like, I'm playing tick perfect, essentially. And I'm not super nervous like I used to be when I do get really good splits. That's pretty much the only difference. What was the second part?
It's pretty much just that. I mean, he's just talking about speedrunning at a beginner level and
Yeah. No,
advanced
so
level.
I think everyone should try speedrunning as fast as they possibly can. I'm not saying they have to do it constantly, but I think it's very fun to partake in some speedrunning.
Yeah.
And
it makes
it's just
grinds
an
go
easy,
by nicer. Like, if you're not just focused on getting the RNG
Yeah,
for a
that's
drop,
true.
you can just focus on improving.
That's another thing. Like I recently got a solo T-bow. It's like that came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Nord is asking, do you game with socks on or socks off?
It's definitely socks off. I live in Southern California where it's hot as fuck almost always, so I'm usually in shorts and a lot of times without a shirt on as well. It's just hot as fuck where I live, so
I definitely need, I don't know, I feel like I used to be able to be pretty good without socks, and I know this is kind of a meme question, but like genuinely, I need to wear socks, I feel like.
wow.
It's just like my
Oh my
my
goodness.
feet get like, it's only when I focus on my feet, when I realize, oh, I'm barefoot, I feel like I start like getting a little clammy, you know what I mean?
Oh my god, really? That's fucking crazy.
Like, I feel
That's
like other people probably
hilarious.
experience that, right? Like, I don't know, my feet, like,
Who knows?
my feet stay extremely dry if I have socks on. They feel more comfortable, they're warm, but as soon as they're off, they get
it's like
clammy, dude.
I feel like that would be the opposite of for most people. You put socks on and your feet get all hot, but
Yeah, not
again,
me
you
at
probably
all.
don't live in a super hot climate like I do.
I mean, I
Or
do
do
live in
you?
Alabama, which is fucking hot. Although it was literally freezing this morning for the first day ever, like in the last like 5 months. So it's definitely cooling off, but it does get pretty fucking just brutal and humid here in the summers.
But yeah, I am a no socks gamer.
Okay. The Duck Chris is asking, would you want to see an official speedrun mode like Quest speedrunning, but for PvM? And if so, what does that look like for things like chambers?
Well, we sort of already have an unofficial, like, I guess, leaderboard, if that's what he's trying to refer to. Is that what he means? Like a leaderboard, I guess?
I think he means...
We already have that with the OSR's PVM Speedrun Discord, which there are thousands of users in. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but
I'm familiar with it, yeah.
People who do speedrun the game, yeah, it's like the white symbol with the little clock on it. That's the Discord logo.
Oh, yeah, maybe I'm not in it, but I've definitely heard about it because I've had, like, Addy and other people.
Yeah, I mean, they have an update log section where it's literally people, I look at it every day, multiple times a day. People who are actually, like, invested in speedrunning in the game are always in that Discord, in the general section, and looking at the update log sections for any new recs that come in the game or any new top fives, that sort of deal. So we kind of already have that, if that was what his question was. Sorry if it wasn't.
What do you think about official high scores with times on it? I'm talking like the high scores page on the actual game
That would
website.
be brilliant.
That'd be fucking awesome.
But I just feel like, man, our dev time is so precious, bro. Like,
yeah, it feels like that, doesn't it?
dude, it feels like it's so precious at this point. Like, what are they investing their time into, man? Like, it just needs to be the right things, man, because it takes so long to come out with updates for the most part, I feel like.
It looks like they're gonna be stepping up their game as at least where it comes like quality of life and stuff. Their last blog post was just stating they want to come out with quality
Dude,
of life.
maybe it's just me, but like,
6 weeks.
does it feel like the game is not updated as much as it was in the first 5 years of release?
Dude, we were getting... Okay, so I put this into perspective in a video of talking about Pulse 77 blog just came out earlier this week. Or last week, or whenever the fuck it came out, a few days ago. But before that, it was February for Pulse 76. Pulse 75 was a year before that. So just to think, like, in the past 2 years, we've only had, like, 3 blog posts. And there's 77. So where the hell were the other 74? Like, those must have been just crammed in, you know? So
I feel like those used to come out every 3 months.
Every, like, two
3
months.
months?
Every, like, 1 or 2 months. And I think they're trying to get back to that point, which is good. That was relieving to hear, because it really does feel like things just take so
I remember
long.
that being at least like 4 or 5, maybe even 6 a year.
Yeah, oh, yeah, easy. Like, 12 a year sometimes. Like it had to have been, because how the hell is there 77 of them? So yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
Okay. Neve Tasks asks, what was the mindset you put yourself in before attempting speed runs? I'm just going to run through these real quick because I think some of them we've maybe have covered. What was the most frustrating thing to learn about, or to learn when speed running? Who inspired you to start speed running? And do you think speed running is healthy for a game like RuneScape?
I've already forgotten 2 or 3 of what you said, but
yeah, just
oh no,
speed running in general.
Can we just start with one at a time?
Yeah, let's do that. What was your mindset before attempting speedrunning?
So I kind of, like I said earlier, I've always wanted to be that person to set the bar. I always wanted to prove to people how good I was at this game, because for the longest time, like, you know, you told me a while ago, like, you knew I was good, but you didn't know how good I was.
Yeah,
most people didn't know how good I was. Most people didn't realize, and only my friends knew that I was actually like mega talented. Until this past year, I would say. And I have a lot of people who think I'm cringe as fuck for, like, you know, kind of boasting about it. And I guess they just didn't realize, you know, I'm just going to be honest, like, there aren't many people as good as me.
Yeah, I mean, if you're holding 2 world records, it's very clear, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people might think it's a bit cringe, you know, call it what you will, but it's a game, whatever.
I think it's cool to be passionate about
yeah, it just stems. That's exactly what it is. It just stems from being extremely passionate and wanting to set the bar, wanting to impress people. That's all it is.
Yep. Okay, what was the most frustrating thing learning speedrunning? Just resetting, I'm guessing. Like hard resetting.
That's hard to say. The most frustrating thing would probably be getting to, like, you know, being on really good pace and then just seeing it die to bad RNG. That's probably that's probably the easiest answer for me to give you.
Yeah, the only taste...
I don't know, because, like, I don't really fuck up my gameplay, like, hardly at all. So it's not really like I can blame myself for a lack of skill. It's more so like bad RNG and, like, maybe dying, like, on rope skip to nerves or something. I don't know. There's not really much that I could say.
I'm not a speedrunner, but I do remember late Nightmare grinding, like just basic solo Nightmare, not Fasani's, and having full Inquisitors, having a Scythe, having a Harm Orb at the time. I knew I had absolute max, and so just not losing ticks in a situation and really trying to push, because I got like a 14-10 solo in a normal solo Nightmare, and I was really pushing for that sub 14.
I remember you definitely had a faster PB than me.
Yeah, it was it was just all RNG, because as long as you don't miss any ticks, it's just RNG. And so
I remember you saying that. I was like, how the did this? I'm pretty sure I had a 15XX PB at that time. I was like, how the fuck did this kid get a low 14, man?
I know, because it's literally RNG. Just like get fucking lucky on your Harm Orb splats.
Yeah.
Like there's just a small window of how many Harm Orb casts you even need to do, you know, or Fire Surge casts. But like, yeah, you just get really lucky on a run. And so I was really trying to always push for that sub 14, which I never ended up getting. But like, I know what you're talking about when the run is just getting thrown away and it has nothing to do with you. It's
I mean, the biggest image I get in my head is Vasa thieving in terms of CM. It happens in Inferno as well. You know, people think, oh, you know, Inferno can't be that RNG based. It really, really is. It really, really is, especially at the bosses, like at Jad and Triple Jads and Zuck. Like, there's so much room for variance. Like, you can have, for example, on Wom's PB run he got recently, not only did he get the second best Zuck ever recorded, he got, I think, maybe... I don't know if it is the rec for triples, but he also got a 145 triples. It was a 145 triples as well as a 145
put that into perspective.
Yes.
What's like average?
Average triples is like probably I think it was 230 pre-Missouri, so now it's probably like 220.
Okay.
Around there.
And he got what again?
215 to 220. He got a 145.
Dear God.
Absolutely unheard of. Yeah. So his run was just unreal. That on top of the 145 Zuck, it was actually like people were just freaking out when he posted the splits.
That's insane. Okay, and the last thing was so who inspired you, and then do you think speedrunning is healthy for a game like RuneScape?
Of course. I think you can speedrun any game. People speedrun almost every game in the world, bro. Like, literally. Yep. What's wrong with speedrunning? There's nothing wrong with it. People do what they have fun with. If you don't want to speedrun, just don't speedrun. It's not like you're being forced to speedrun. I think it's not unhealthy. How could it be unhealthy? It's all it's doing for you is helping you improve.
Yeah.
And who inspired me? I would give the hat off to Lake, Mulgoat Kirby, Hemis. Who else? In terms of just names, like, yeah, it wasn't really in particular anyone specific, really, like other than those few people. I just like to watch them stream and them, perform at basically a top level, and I wanted to replicate it at even a better level. It was more so myself wanting to push myself. I was my own motivation internally for the most part, really, like, because I've always wanted to be, like I said, the person to set the bar, the person to set these times everyone can look to and be like, what do you have to beat to get wrecked? What,
Mm-hmm.
What is the best time? Who has the best time? What is the best possible time? And people think of me.
Now, do you have any goals besides speedrunning on your accounts? Do you like pet hunting? Do you like doing XP grinds? Do you like doing anything else, or are you pretty much centered on yeah?
It's hard to say. As an Iron, I was invested in a lot more than just speedrunning, right? Like I have about 26 pets on my main. So I was a very what's the word? Not consistent, but I was basically always pet hunting.
Okay.
No, that's not the word. I was always like going for pets as an Iron, like always doing random shit like Venenatis, whatever. Like I said, 26 pets, that's not a small amount. I had basically half pets, so and as well as XP, it's just I've actually already like gotten so much XP in the game that it doesn't like hit me the way it used to. As soon as I hit 1 bill XP, I was like, you know what? I can't keep doing this forever. I can't keep constantly grinding XP like this, just always making sure I'm cutting a tree or always making sure I'm making pots, because it became unhealthy.
Yeah.
For me, at least. I just had such an addictive personality that I had to stop. I mean, maybe I didn't have to, but I felt it was the smartest decision for my overall like real health.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've already kind of accomplished my XP goals, my pet goals. I could keep pet hunting, but it doesn't really interest me that much.
Okay, here's one thing that I guess going kind of back to the speedrun worlds, you know how like people with very select bosses, or I guess if you film it or something, there are ways to get like 6-hour records of doing Zora, for example. People go for the 6-hour record of Zora. Are you interested in things like that where it's really kind of like
to a certain extent? Yeah.
What would be a boss that you would like to do that? Is Zora does doing a 6-hour Zora run where it's very official and stuff sound fun? Or
if I were to do it, it would probably be a raid. I think if I were to do it, it would probably be a raid, whether that's TOB, Chambers, or TOA.
So running like a 6-hour, does 6 hours even sound fun, or do you want to do something that's like
that is long?
Yeah,
but yeah, that's what you would need to do something for like a raid or whatever. It doesn't necessarily interest me, but it's, I guess, possible.
Okay. Yeah, I do wonder about that, because I know with a lot of bosses it's like impossible because the meta literally is to world.
The thing is
but yeah,
it's just that no one else does that, really. Like no one does that. If more people did that, maybe I would have more interest in doing that as well. But like, there's such a ultra small amount of people who partake in that. Like, not even Kirby does that. And Kirby is doing 17 hours straight of grotesque resets. I don't know if you've been watching him recently, but
I've seen like his grinds where he'll just go for a world record on like Zora or something. It's just like
and he's
resets.
just
like he hasn't calculated how many hours on average it's gonna take. It's just like fucking nuts.
Yeah. We were calculating the time save of a few things last night, actually, like Inferno. But yeah, he like Missouri at Inferno compared to pre-Missouri, and we found it to be somewhere in the ballpark of about 1:30 time save. And then if you add on Lightbearer, I would assume that's probably another 15 seconds or so, 10, 15, maybe a little bit, somewhere around there. I don't know what Lightbearer is. It's probably around 10 to 15 seconds time save. So somewhere in the ballpark of like 1:40 time save with new gear compared to pre-TOA gear.
Thoughts on Lightbearer?
It's great.
Do you think it is kind of like depressing in a way that you can't use a B ring, or do you just?
Oh yeah. I do. I definitely. As soon as it came out, I wasn't even running it in solo game. I was like, dude, like I don't want to see less hit. Like I'm such a DPS fiend that I don't like seeing lesser numbers that I'm hitting. Yeah. But it obviously isn't even affecting like range or mage, like because we don't have rings that buff the DPS, that like really buff the DPS. Archer's ring is literally irrelevant.
I know.
But yeah, as soon as I started running CM with new gear, I was literally running a fucking B ring just because I was like, you know what, I don't want to lose out on these max hits. Yeah. But then I kind of realized like, okay, I was using a brimstone anyway before, and like that's only one max hit, and it's just like too consistent at Ulm to not use. Like getting the extra specs at Ulm is just fucking massive.
There's been some ideas
everywhere as well too. Like God, especially for Inferno, it's just unreal how good it is. Like my survivability is just so much higher now.
Yeah.
Compared to pre-Lightbearer era.
And when you're not using a Lightbearer now, it feels so shitty seeing how slow your spec regens. Like, dear God,
I know,
like, go.
dude. Oh my God, yeah.
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 I'll
just let you go on.
Okay, I was gonna say initially, you know, I hate to be the one to brag, you know, but back in the Tasty cast like a year and a half ago, I definitely did bring up the. It was called the Ring of Specials. The Ring of Specs, or the Ring of Specials was what I called it. Yeah. And I
think I might have remembered that.
I even get comments still on that video where somebody will just randomly, like in the morning, I'll check my notifications and somebody commented on the Tasty cast. I'm like, holy shit, like you literally like predicted all this shit. But Ring of Specials initially, I really wanted it to boost your spec up to 120. Like that's where it would like cap out at. I think that would, I don't know. And I know it wouldn't affect many things, especially when you're doing a long raid or something, but
Wait, do what now?
It would boost your max spec, not to 100, which it is right now, but it would actually do the same effect, but it would go to 120.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Wow,
obviously,
I've never even thought of that.
It would be some detriments in PvP, and I don't know how the engine would like handle that exactly. But if you ever took the ring off, it would obviously just go back to 100, and if you put it back on, you'd have to regen back to 120, but... Yeah,
interesting.
I was a little sad to not see that, just simply because there actually would be some little meta.
That could be fucking mega broken.
Oh yeah,
from the sounds of it to me.
Oh yeah, it would have been hella fun.
Well, Lightbearer's already pretty broken for ranging and maging.
Dude, isn't that crazy? People were thinking that ring was dead content before it ever came out. I mean, to be
I don't
fair,
know who was thinking that. I think. Well, I'm an Inferno runner, so I was thinking that I had the fucking hard eyes going on for that thingy, but. I couldn't wait to test out Lightbearer personally, but I'm sure other people didn't really see its potential like I did, or Inferno runners do.
I think it was like the B ring, just like the fact that you can't have a B ring. What do you think about 2 ring slots, by the way?
Well, I mean, that is sort of like an aura, like how auras were in pre-EOC, so I guess I wouldn't be that opposed to it. It is a way to bring in power creep. Sure. Not a bad idea. Similar to an aura.
2 light
or
bearers.
you just, I mean, instead of that, you just add in an aura, like how they had it pre-EOC. I don't know if you ever played.
I didn't play back then. You have to explain that to me. What's that?
It's sort of how like a blessing works, I guess. Like it's like a blessing slot, but they had like actual decent effects, you know.
Okay.
They had like a variety of effects that I can't remember because it's been so long, but I do remember auras being like. They were at the time they weren't like super gnarly, I don't think. Maybe I can't remember, but I remember them being kind of weird things like XP boosts, like small XP boosts. I can't remember anything else, but yeah.
I see.
It's not a bad idea in terms of bringing in power creep over the next few years.
I mean,
that's a good way to introduce it.
Oh, I don't think you're at your PC, but I'm just looking at my inventory tabs. Like, there's clearly more space to add some shit. I mean, I've been advocating for the belt slot as well. I'm kind of a nerd.
I mean, but is that a DPS buff? That's literally just a QOL.
The belt slot would have a tool belt, but you would also be able to craft your own belts using leather and like a belt buckle and just like having some other different abilities. I don't know if it would be as powerful as rings or something, but like that's kind of my idea behind it, is having different enchantable belt buckles that you would just attach. It sounds silly right now, but just
the
wait
risky
till it comes
thing
out.
about that is that's like kind of changing the core mechanics of the game, almost like not the mechanics of the game, but you know what I mean. Like
Yeah, just one
If
more.
if you add in an extra piece of armor, like that's pretty big.
Oh,
That's
it's
pretty
huge. It's huge. What do you think about a new skill, by the way? Talking about huge updates.
Well, I mean, I'm not necessarily opposed to it, but do I want sailing? God, no. I don't think sailing has a place in RuneScape, dude. What the fuck?
Really?
Like,
Really?
I'm sorry, but I don't know why people thought that was a good idea. Like,
Dude,
what am I going to sail for, dude?
Sailing is sick because it can spawn randomly generated like islands and dungeons potentially that you would like. The excitement about it is just the fact that there would be more monster encounters that you would find, like Kraken 2.0 is one of them, Loch Ness Monster, like shit like that you could only get through sailing. So a lot of it's not actually the sailing portion, it's just the fact that
very
new
interesting.
encounters.
Okay. Well, I had never thought of that. All I thought was you'd literally just be fucking sailing and nothing more. Like, it felt so barren to me.
Yeah.
Like, and out of place. I didn't understand what people were thinking. I mean, I felt like warding had a better spot than sailing did, but at the same time, I didn't really want warding either.
I just want to be able to build a fucking yacht with all the gold trimmed mahogany yacht, just fucking sailing the seas. No, I don't know. I don't think it would be that. I really don't think it would just be exploring, just like wandering around the seas. I think it would be like randomly generated.
If someone comes up with a new skill, I'm probably going to lean more toward it not being, hopefully it's not fucking sailing or warding. Like, can they just come up with something sick if it's going to be a new skill?
What do you want, though? Like, that's the real question.
I don't know.
Any ideas you have?
My brain is just not capable of, like, comprehending a new skill, dude.
What about an RS3
that's a lot
skill?
to ask. I don't know. The only thing they've come up with is what? Intervention and... Invention. What's the other one? Oh, yeah, invention.
Invention.
Oh, my God.
Invention. And I'm not an RS3 nerd, but I definitely, like, have talked about this enough to know. I think invention, summoning, obviously, dungeoneering is one, archaeology,
those are all,
and what's the other one?
Archaeology. It's archaeology and invention. That's what I think those are the only two like real new ones.
No, divination. I don't understand that one.
Oh yeah, so those three. Yeah, I don't understand them either. I don't play RS3. Yeah. I've never even looked into it, but I'm sure they could potentially get ideas from that.
Don't those?
And I'm not opposed to new skills. Like if it fits, it fits. But it's going to be a very hard thing to do.
Are you okay losing your max cape until you get 99 in the skill?
Yeah, I am. That's a hard one.
Yeah.
I think I am though.
Unless the skill
I think it would make sense.
You don't want to get 99.
I mean, it's just 199. Yeah. It's just one. It's not that bad.
You know it'll be fast as fuck too. Like you just know it. It's gonna be 300.
It probably would be. Well, you never really know, but
it's not gonna be. It's not gonna be lower than 100K. Like 100%, it just won't.
I probably would agree with that.
There's just no way they're gonna do that.
I don't even see a new skill coming for a while though. I see them prioritizing new gear and bosses and shit first before a new skill.
Yeah, we'll see.
Personally,
I feel like
I could be wrong.
I feel like the team also kind of sees that the game is maybe lacking some huge updates, and maybe Raids 3 didn't quite hit the nail on the head, I guess, and maybe they are considering it.
What I'm wondering is if they've even acknowledged that, if they truly understand and acknowledge that it hasn't hit the mark for a lot of players, and that there are actually quite a few players who are quitting recently, and not quitting, but just not like playing like they would be addicted to the game if they loved the update. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder if they have acknowledged that.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
For the most part, most people I talk to, no one really says, yeah, dude, I fucking love TOA. You know?
Yeah.
At least in my case, I haven't heard many people say that. It's more so people are like, they're okay with it, they like it, they don't like it. It's one that's it.
Yeah.
No one's really like in love with it, you know, the way they're in love with Chambers or they're in love with TOB.
What do you think that is, by the way?
It's very hard to say.
Like, what makes TOA different than TOB and Chambers? Like,
it could have been just the true authenticity of them coming out with these brand new raids and having no, what's the word? Like, no mark to hit. Yeah. They wouldn't have any like prior reference to try and like, overcome their previous raids. Try and like surpass them in terms of fun or whatever, in terms of just overall like experience. Like with Chambers, man, I think they just did an absolutely perfect job nearly It's such a great raid in my opinion.
Chambers is great
And
once you get to like a min-max
one.
inventory, but like before that, when you had to like sit there and make your potions and shit, like that just gets a little.
Oh, that was brutal. Oh yeah, but
and like
no
initially,
one does that
we also have
anymore.
to look at the quality of life, its experience, because like, dude, remember Thieving Room? How bad that really was, and Iced even how bad it really was.
Yeah.
One
See, that's another reason why I still have faith in TOA. Like, even though they've said that they think that it's in an okay and healthy state that it's in right now, I think there's, without question, there's no doubt in my mind that they will be further updating TOA.
True.
Whether that's in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months from now, they will be updating it, in my opinion. And it will probably be for the better because, people are going to come together with their ideas and so on and so forth. And they'll realize like, oh yeah, maybe these things do need a little bit tweaking. And then it'll make the raid a lot more enjoyable, most likely. If they can fix Monkey Room, dude, if they can just somehow make everyone like Monkey Room, TOA will be like literally a whole 1 out of 10 more enjoyable than it currently is. So it'll go from like whatever, a 7 out of 10 of enjoyment to an 8 out of 10.
Bruh.
In terms of how much you enjoy it.
I literally rage quit my stream because of Baba.
Dude, I was laughing so hard.
Oh yeah, you were there. You're the one that's fucking just laughing your ass off. Dude, I can't I understand.
I felt bad for saying that as well. I was like, oh dude, this
no.
bad.
I was
just wiped Baba 4 times in a row. Monkey Room.
I was definitely looking for an excuse to fucking end, but like at the same time, Baba is just not fun, and that is literally, I mean, if any J mods listening to this, anybody fucking cares, personally, and it's not a systemic problem or anything, but just me personally, I don't want to do TOA because of Baba. That is the only fucking reason. Like, that's the only reason that deters me from wanting to go do it.
You're not even talking about Monkey Room. You're just talking about Baba?
Monkey Room and everything.
Or you mean
the whole thing? The whole thing. Baba's really not that bad.
You mean Monkey Room and Baba?
Yeah, Monkey Room and Baba. Like, just that whole thing. Like, if I didn't even have to enter that thing, TOA would be a lot more enjoyable. And I don't know what it is.
That's fair.
Baba pisses me off mainly because, like, I want to skip mechanics. For example, I don't want to kill those 2 monkeys that spawn, and usually I can pass it. Now I have, like, updated my invocations, which is making it a little bit different and shit. And I obviously don't have an optimized thing. There's a lot of problems on my own end. All I'm saying is, Baba, Monkey Room, please can we, like, make that down to, like, a 2-minute instead of a 3-minute? I know people can already get 2 minutes if they're fucking sweating, but, like, the average room...
See, my idea was, initially, I was saying maybe they should just... It's hard to say to just remove the puzzles entirely, but I was saying maybe if just the puzzles were a little shorter, which they have gotten with the plugins.
Puzzle is the one that's fucking annoying. That's
Imagine if it was half as long.
I know.
All the other ones are pretty fine now, in my opinion.
They really are. Aka's fine. It's a 1 down guaranteed if you just time it right. Zebak, it's a 2 water fill every single time guaranteed if you're perfect. And Kefri with all the plugins is fucking easy. It's just kind of like pointless in a way, but yeah. Baba, god damn it. Okay, we've kind of briefly touched on this, but I am a little curious. Ruse asks, with the current gear and methods, what do you think is the theoretical or most realistic Inferno time to get with current gear? I'm assuming that would hold world record for
so we were talking about this with
but yeah.
Yeah, realistically it might not even get beat with this gear. I think it's almost like 50-50. I think there's probably a chance a larger chance it does get beat compared to not getting beat over the next like year or 2, but it just depends like on these certain few runners if they want to decide to start running every day and consistently. And getting in the times over and over and over and getting in there, spinning the wheel over and over and over until they get God RNG, because like that's what they're going to need to beat it. Literal God RNG. So what's reasonable? Like my run was so fucking unreasonably fast. If I had just not choked at the end and lost like 10 seconds to shaking so hard, I was literally shaking out of my seat, bro. I was so nervous. It was such disgusting pace. Like hadn't felt that type of nervousness in a long time, and I think with good reason.
That's good to experience.
Freaking out, dude. Yeah. I think like a sub 42 is technically possible, and like had I not made those mistakes and fucking thrown 10 seconds at the very end trying to pipe spec and misclicking over and over and over, I literally tried to pipe spec like a healer like 2 or 3 times and just kept misclicking and fumbling, and I basically lost about 10 seconds at the very end, so it was very close to a sub 42. Not only that, my bow noodled like I think my last 3 bows. Right before it was going to be a sub 42, I had like 3 zeros in a row. Had I played perfectly and gotten just slightly better RNG, it would have been very close to sub 42, if not just below sub 42.
Jeez.
And at that point, it's like so hard to see it get any quicker.
Could it?
I think the fastest we might ever see is like a 4150 or 4140. Like that would be unfucking just believable though. If someone ever gets that, like I will literally suck their dick. It's never
on a
gonna
cast,
happen.
guys. You heard it. Reference this later. No.
There are literally 3 people in the world capable of it at the moment.
Okay.
Maybe upwards of 5. So it's just like.
What about this? Lake was talking about it on the cast. Overloads come out. Let's imagine overloads come out, and now you can boost to 120 range. I know I'm just skipping the 118. I'm going right to 120. If you could get 120 range, do you think a sub 40 is possible at Inferno?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Like pretty easily.
Because right now we're sitting on 112, not 118. Yeah. We're sitting on 112.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Do you think that'd be fun?
I don't even.
Do you think being able to buff or to boost up to that much would break the game too much?
You said you never got to experience pre-OC, so nope. I was a fucking fiend back in the day, dude. I got Turmoil and Soul Split like instantly as soon as that shit came out. I was grinding Prayer to 95 for PKing and as well as the Herblore because I'm pretty sure Overloads came out at a very similar time that Turmoil and Soul Split came out, like the Cursed spellbook. So the amount of power creep that year, like over those 2 years, was like the most unreal fucking thing I'd ever experienced. Even as a little kid, I was like, even as like a 13-year-old kid, I was like, this is insane. Like going from combat pots or like super strength to overload from 118 to 125. And not ticking down ever.
Dear God.
Oh my God. It was so nice for Slayer. Like that was all I did at the time with overloads was like Slayer, obviously with a chaotic rapier. But like, dude.
Do you want to see overloads?
It's hard to say.
And do you want them to boost to 125 or do you just want them to cap at like the current stats, which is 118, 112, and 109?
I think they should be. I think they should go over 118 if they do come in the game. They should be the same as they were pre-EOC. But
125.
The problem is like they either choose to look. So the game, we all know the game's going to get power creep over time regardless. So they could choose whether it's overloads or whether it's gear. Doesn't make that much of a difference, I guess, you know.
Does the fact that PvP exists ruin PvM? Like, because seriously, we can't have overloads. The biggest reason why is because it would just totally destroy PvP. Like it would.
You couldn't use overloads in PvP back in pre-EOC.
So they're just not able.
It just didn't work.
Do you think that's like, I don't know. Sometimes
I forget how, but I forget how it worked, or I could be wrong, but as far as I know, you couldn't overload in PvP.
That's so strange.
And I would assume that they would make that the same circumstances if they did bring back overloads to old school.
Yeah, I mean,
they would not make them. Yeah, that would change PvP too much.
PvP is becoming
it's
more
already
and more
like
server. Just like nothing is the same in the wilderness or outside.
Dude.
So many exceptions.
I just have to say, it absolutely blows my mind that there is still even somewhat of a community at all PKing, because all I used to like a vast majority of what I did pre-EOC was PKing, like on my peers and just in general. And even the beginning years of OSRS, like I PK'd a fuck ton. I currently have upwards of 20 accounts, and about 10 of them are near perfect PK builds, such as like 31 prayer fire cape builds with like 60 attack, 1 defense, and they're all cannons entirely to 99 range or 95 plus range, so they're low HP, just glass cannon builds, very fun to PK on. But yeah, it just blows my mind that even after they removed BH, there's just no way it's been a growing scene it's just been a declining scene for years, so it blows my mind that there's even anyone left PKing, and that people are even able to still stream it and get viewers, like it's just... And that people are still like going in rev. It's just like, I don't know how there's still people doing it, man. Because I compared my PKing experience from the last time that I had gone PKing and like was consistently PKing about 2, or no, more than 2 years, probably 3 years ago now. And it was just murky, man. It was not fun. Like, after they removed Bounty Hunter, it was like, dude, why would they? I mean, I get why they removed it because of all the farming going on, like with bots, but and emblem farming. But it was really, really, really fun to do Bounty Hunter, and they removed that. It's like, dude, all there was left is PvP worlds, which were on a constant rotation. So you either it was like 2 weeks of getting fucked with ping, and then they'd rotate it back. So it's like, for 2 whole weeks, you'd have to play on EU ping or something. It's like, dude. At that point, it just, like, I started to lose so much interest, only being able to PK at the GE, and, like, that's what it's been for however long now.
Yeah.
Very sad, man, because I fucking love PKing. I mean, as I was saying earlier, I was a huge risk fighter pre-EOC, and I made a lot of money doing that.
Yeah, we're going to have to see with the new Wilderness boss update as well, what that's going to do to the PvP scene as well. I think it'll be healthy for it. I'm surprised everything passed. That was actually quite insane. It's like the first PvP poll we've ever seen that just had everything pass.
Yeah, I think people are just desperate just to not get PK'd anymore at fucking Betayon. And people are just desperate to stop getting ragged. They want to see some sort of change.
Yeah. I mean,
that was brutal.
I'm low-key pretty excited. I'm excited for, like, any new content, honestly. But I'm definitely not one to just enjoy the Wilderness. It's definitely different. It's a different just experience when you're the one trying to hunt down people versus just trying to get your drops at a boss. But yeah, I'm excited for it, especially because they're doing this system where, like, anybody can just pile in on the boss and, like, everybody kind of has a chance of getting the drop, which is kind of cool because I can do it, like, on stream and stuff and just have, like, events. I don't know, I feel like it would just be more fun, more engaging.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the update yet, but I'll definitely be looking into it.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm definitely going to be making some videos on it. What do you think of Fresh Start Worlds?
It's actually not, like, the worst idea, I think. It's actually a fairly okay end of an idea to, like, maybe bring another phase of nostalgia back for some players. Potentially bring in new players. Not really, though. Like, I don't see how it's going to bring in new players. We've had old school for, like, almost 10 years. It is what it is. I'm not too fond of it, to be honest. Like, because I've heard that that's just going to, like, prioritize more dev team work, more servers. Like, they're going to need servers for that. It'll,
yeah.
Like, there's a lot of things in the game that currently need fixing. And being as dedicated as a player as I am, like, just seeing those things go, like, unfixed for so long, it's a bit depressing. Namely, server health.
Are you going to play Fresh Start Worlds, do you think?
No.
Oh yeah, the server health is just fucking ridiculous. Like, it's really bad. Like, luckily, we'll have, like, these really intense periods where the servers are just total dog shit, and then it goes back to, like, normal, and it feels like, oh, the servers are better. Like, they feel good, but they're actually not even still good. They're just like, we're just used to, like, total garbage.
It's playable, though. It's definitely playable and not really that big of a deal, especially if you're not, like, doing Inferno. That was really, like, I'm not gonna lie, like, pretty much the only piece of content that I was, like, actually handicapped if I didn't play at early hours of the morning. Like, otherwise you just have spawn delay.
I've heard people, like, where they'll jump into their first Inferno after getting 3 tasks, and they were on a different world during doing the tutorial skipping, and so they're on this, like, shit ping world, and they just basically thrown an entire Zuck because they just can't be on that world. I saw Adicon do that a couple times, like, accidentally just be on a different world, and, like, you can just hop, of course, but it slows it down. It's just like,
yeah. Who knows when they'll fix that, man? That's been in a fucking very depressing state for quite a while. And yeah, I heard that they didn't, like, someone say, like, Kieran said, I'm pretty sure I saw a tweet of Kieran saying that, like, there's a potential chance the new owners of Jagex might be prioritizing server health going in the future, like buffering the servers and actually, like, making them a lot more playable and enjoyable. Yeah, and less of a fucking lag fest.
We'll see about that. It's crazy that literally, like, you go over, like, 400 people in a world, and the world.
It is 400. It's that's about what it is. It's actually about 380. It's actually about 380.
Yeah, I'd say that.
It's right around there, 380 to 420 in that realm. As soon as you get more than that, like, there's a solid chance you're just gonna have to deal with a 1 tick delay on your clicks.
Yep. horrendous. Okay. Find My Dog asks, are there any PVM world record times other than Inferno or solo CMs that you'd be interested in beating in the future? I also want to extend on this. Is there anything that you'd want to do with teams, or are you more of a solo speedrunner? Then he also just...
So generally speaking, I am more of a solo player. I kind of like being able to take all the credit, and, you know, not many people acknowledge records the way they acknowledge solo records. Like, people don't care as much about a 5-man TOB rec like they do a fucking solo CM rec, you know?
It's true.
I mean, of course it differs from person to person what their interests are, but if I'm being totally honest, I think for the most part, people care more about solo recs compared to team recs. It doesn't mean that I'm not like against running with teams. A lot of that comes down to the fact that I don't have people to run with. I live in California, where I don't have that many other West Coast top level players to run with. And I don't really want to run on other servers at like, you know, going for recs. Like, it's kind of frustrating and annoying having to play with ping. But I do kind of want to go for other solo recs, like TOA solo rec. Like, I went for Corrupted Gauntlet solo rec for quite a while, and it's just so difficult to beat that I couldn't. Like, my current Corrupt Gauntlet PB is a 440, I think.
That's still fucking impressive.
Yeah, but I have been on pace for like sub 420, I think twice, and just come so close and just barely missed it from hitting too many zeros at the end and getting fucking shit on by Hunlith. Because I would run zero food setups, and there's like multiple occasions where I almost had a sub 430 as well. So, but the thing is those weren't neither of any of my fastest times wouldn't have even beaten Smork's Rec. So
he's a beast.
A lot of times, he's fucking. I literally watched that rec live. I was in disc with him. It was fucking actually insane watching that live, dude. Like, it's like he just instantly mutes himself as soon as he has like a fucking world record prep. It's like, bruh, how does this kid just get this out of nowhere? And he gets a 230 boss. A 230 boss with like a tier 1 and a tier 3. Like, that's not possible, bro.
I got a 105 normal Gauntlet Hunlith. I literally hit 0 zeros.
I actually don't know how impressive that is because of how little I've run normal.
I think world record at the time I got a 105, and somebody said the absolute world record that
it's rec 101 or something.
It was like 102 or like 101 or something. I'm like, Jesus. I mean, I literally did not miss. Now, obviously, I had 2 tier 3 weapons because I was just like chilling. But like, holy shit.
Yeah, I sort of have similar scenario with the corrupted boss. I have a 201 and a 203 Hunlith.
Sheesh.
Yeah, and I think Rec Hunlith is, well, now it's like a 148 somehow. Fucking Stay Crunchy got gifted RNG. But second is 157, I think, by Disease is his RSN. And then I think I'm third with like the 201 and then the 203.
All with... Is that all with like tier 3 armor and tier 3 weapons and stuff?
No. It's just tier 1 armor, but tier 2, tier 3 weapons.
But you can never eat, correct? Like, obviously. I just feel like doing a tier 3 armor run, if you're just focused on the boss rec, it's like, dude, just...
Now that I think about it, there is probably a good chance that they... Well, at least Stay Crunchy, because he got like a 148 boss. He probably had tier 3 armor.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
Okay.
But yeah, it's not really that many other recs I want to go for. At least as of now. I want to wait for more content to come out. Pascal Trials, Blue Inferno, whatever we have coming in the future. I would like to, continue to go for more recs, though, without a doubt.
Will you speedrun TOA? You see yourself doing that eventually?
Most likely. Yeah. Most likely. I would say there's a pretty high chance of that.
Who is the best speedrunner currently? Is it Smork? Is he the one like going fucking hard at the TOA speedruns? I don't know who's all in the scene of that.
Are you talking about for TOA?
Yeah, for TOA. Who are like the beasts right now speedrunning?
Smork, Panties Down, Priority. I'm trying to think what's his name. I can pull it up right now. There's like 1 or 2 other people. There's not many people though. But the thing about TOA is that I do feel like that it's a little bit easier than something like a solo CM rec, or especially it's a lot easier than something like Inferno. But
It's just because there's not as much depth.
It just doesn't really interest me like a ton. Like I get the interest from these other things.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay,
At least as of now, but yeah, it could change. We'll see.
I have a question regarding like best PvMers. What do you qualify as somebody that's a good PvMer in this game? Does it involve speedrunning? Does it involve mechanics? Does it involve pioneering methods? What does it all involve? And who do you think are, top 3 best PvMers? Again, everything kind of put into just a big ball. Like, I don't know. It's hard to say.
That's very hard to say because so many players are just like they're specialized players, like they're one-trick ponies.
Yep. And that's the other thing. Is that what qualifies you? Do you have to be good at everything to be the best PvMer? It's
no. I will say that no.
Whatever
you don't. Man, saying names is going to be so hard, and I don't want to but in terms of just raw talent, like I'd have to say like probably Adwam, Neen, Cancer. It's really like the top Inferno runners. And then you have some other players like Trio Elysian who are incredibly like talented at TOB. You have people like Still Remains and Scotty who are incredibly talented at accomplishing random world records, and bosses like Vorkath, Hydra, Zolra, Grotesques, and so on. What was the first part as well, or was that all of the question?
It was pretty much just like who are the top 3, and you're kind of like summoning it down to Inferno, which obviously makes sense. That I would even say that is like the hardest piece of content to master. So.
There are there's a couple other people that come to mind, like Visacious, who's also like an expert at TOB. Like the TOB experts are definitely very good at the game. It's just I've always wondered how they would perform at other pieces of content. Seems like they don't really ever run other pieces of content though.
It's cool seeing people that are really good at
I would also include Smork in that list of top players.
Yeah.
Because he's definitely talented.
It is interesting seeing those people that can like perform very well in a team setting.
In terms of mechanics, I think Lake is also probably like one of the best mechanical players we've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
But for speedrunning, like he just hasn't put his feet in the water, so I can't say he's barely done any speedrunning in terms of like dedicated speedrunning.
Where
mechanically, he's probably the only player I know of that is like ridiculously gifted for, understanding mechanics before anyone else does. And, I guess that's the best way to put it.
Where do you see Wooks and Exact? Both of them very, very rarely even play the game anymore. That's usually the 2 names that people think of when they think of greatest PvMers. What are your thoughts on them just in general, Wooks and Exact?
So, I mean, of course, they would probably most likely be in that list as well if they played more, but we don't get to see them. We hardly get to see them. And I don't know how much of a speedrunner Wooks is. I'm sure he could become, good at it, but as far as I know, he's just extremely intelligent, and, he comes out with new methods and so on and so forth. And he comes out with things that people think weren't possible. It's not really speedrun stuff. It's more so like mechanical things and
pioneering new methods and stuff.
Yeah, as well as with Exact. But maybe I would include Exact in there as well, because some of the shit he knew about Inferno was like, I didn't like, how did he figure this stuff out before everyone else? It makes me wonder, like, dude, he had some of these guides out like within the first year of Inferno, I think. And it's just like, bro, how do you figure this out? Like,
yeah,
absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it is kind of a shame that they don't play as much anymore. I mean, it obviously happens. People move on with their lives, but.
Well, you can't blame Wooks. He literally, what is he? Isn't he like an engineer?
Yeah, that dude is.
He's literally like
genius.
He's an engineer of some sort. I don't know. I can't remember where he works for, but maybe he hasn't even leaked it. But I know he's really busy. Mm-hmm. I don't know what Exact does IRL though.
Okay. Looks like we've kind of covered everything on the topics. So I want to ask you: is there anything that we've kind of missed that you definitely want to maybe touch on before we wrap things up?
Really? Yeah, I think we've actually gone over everything.
Okay.
For the most part.
Well, I want to ask you then for 3 shout outs from the community that you think deserve one.
Okay. 3 shout outs. Definitely got to include Hemis in there because he is the GOAT. He's one of my favorite streamers to watch. I guess I'll also shout out Kirby because he's also one of my favorite streamers to watch. And I'll shout out No Monkey as well because he's also one of my favorite streamers to watch. And
Love it.
it's just a bunch of people I love to tune into their streams every day. And they're some of my friends, some of my best friends now, to be honest.
Hell yeah. All right, Rastaman, I had an absolute pleasure talking today. We definitely, this felt so incredibly fast. It was over 2.5 hours, which is just unreal because that felt like 20 minutes. Didn't it? Like, am I like crazy?
Yeah. When I looked at the time, it was already over 2 hours. I was like, God damn, that was
I know, it just flies.
quite surprising.
So, guys, down in the description, I'll have Rastaman's Twitch. He's definitely just blowing up. He's always doing some crazy speedrun shit. Very entertaining stream to watch. Great music. So go follow him down on Twitch. You don't have a Twitter, I noticed. And do you?
People keep telling me to make one, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm just not a Twitter guy, at least yet.
Dude, Twitter's going downhill, too. The amount of fucking ads I see and the amount of just random suggested posts that I have no care about, it's like getting old. So, anyway.
I do have a YouTube, though.
I will have your YouTube. YouTube and Twitch, guys. Go follow him. Any other links you'd like?
That's all. Yeah, just my YouTube and Twitch.
All right. Rastaman, thank you very much. Guys, if you want to support the cast, down in the description, there's a Patreon link. And I will just reveal it now. Next week, we are having Sick Nerd on the cast, which I'm very excited about. We'll see, how that goes. He's playing the old school classic RuneScape, the shit that's like before classic even. I can't remember what it's called. Some weird game, but it's definitely getting some traction. Anyway, guys, look forward to that. And any last words, Rasta?
I just want to thank you so much for finally having me on the cast. I've been wanting to be on the cast low key for quite a while. But yeah, man, I really do appreciate it. Much love, bro.